this day. I think that you'll see the first three fall a little bit in terms of their average, and the second three kind of rise a bit, right? I mean, it's traditionally speaking, from what we've seen of this entire tournament so far, the three on the right-hand side, Eastern Stars, Unicorns of Love, and Big, whilst yes, they didn't have the best of days yesterday. It's funny because Eastern Stars is still in sixth, but we're still, you know, we expect so much from these teams that they should be rising, all things considered. I don't think the form that we see, especially from Nexus and Vodafone Giants, unless something crazy goes on, is sustainable right now with what we've seen from them the entire season.
Haide, băi, să dăm drumul la treabă, să vedem și noi ce se întâmplă.
Rounds. We take a look at the orange bar, that could be between 30 and 45 rounds. So we would expect things definitely to go towards the way of the blue bars for most of these teams. Or maybe
Ceicule, toată lumea, vă salut, băi, vă pup pe toți. Salutare, salutare, vă love you, vă pup. Să dați și voi un like acolo repede și un share rapid. Hai cu Ace-ul ăla, că eu Ace-ul vreau să văd. Para voi, te pup. Haideți și de pe Facebook să intrăm aici pe YouTube, vă rog eu, să dăm un like cu alea. Roxy, te pup, vă pup pe toți, salutare toată lumea, vă love you.
Pull them out correctly. I'm sorry, I have to keep bashing on you a little bit. I gotta be fair, right? I gotta treat you guys both equally. If you're right and you're wrong. But he's been performing quite well and improving.
Yeah, it's been great to see Redux. You also got to keep in mind it's not only Redux performing for the team. Dorian also has steadily improved from Super Weekend 2 into Super Weekend 3, and now in the finals getting some really good results. But Redux, he came back. We saw a lot of Redux, especially in that first Super Weekend where he was really performing well with the entirety of Romanian boys. They were one of the top teams, part of the Golden Six.
Am dat de mult, vă pup. Alba, te pup, vă pup pe toți. Stai să scot și astea de pe ecran să le setez ca lumea, video capture.
So he's definitely serving more as
Mati,
that
te pup. Alexandra.
from Redux in the first place. That's what he showed us in that first Super Weekend, and he's just leading into that a lot more, creating space for the team. And they have been extremely consistent yesterday. And I'm talking, he always gets to the late game circle. Sometimes he's down to solo players against you right now, but they find the best.
Bună seara, băi, vă pup pe toți. Hai să dăm și noi un like și un share acolo, forță pentru băieții noștri. Avem 3 echipe în finală, mâncava și talentul vostru. De ce face S2? Că am nu știu ce diferență de 15-20 de puncte între ei și băieții din World, din Unicorns of Love. Salut Chiruia, salut la toți, vă pup.
Redux is the star currently of this team. As you say, like in that first Super Weekend looked phenomenal, Max, but then we even had games where he was not present on the team for a little while, and there was a visible dip in how Romanian was able to play without Redux. So having him here on this stage right now and seeing him perform, aside from some of those misses on that spray, fantastic stuff so far.
Salut, Blitz, salut! Ce să fac, Manole? Uite totul bine la tine?
Avenger level threat player. I take both of your terms when we talk about stuff like that. But also, to be fair, there's a couple of other players from one team, the Double D's, and Dexter, who have been able to really carry their team through. If we look at teams like Unicorns, having these massive fraggers, like your GK first, like your Fresh, well, I mean, you can basically give a direct comparison against
Dexter să moară Vivi, se vede și ăsta, Cowboy de West. Se vede Cowboy de West să mor, uite la el, bam. Mă, te-a nebun Dumnezeu, Cowboy. Te pup, Pânduț. Cowboy se vede în West, unde se crede? Și el e de la Scornicești, de unde? De la Severin, de unde a zis că e? E bine la mine, te pup, vă pup pe toți. Iana, te pup, fetelor, vă pup, salutare la toți, băi, vă pup și băi, să nu uitați de un like și un share, haide, vă rog eu. Da, uite față în Diu să mor eu dacă te mint. Vezi că am jucat bine Diu, să mor. Caracal, mă, așa. E Cowboy de Caracal, el mă să mor dacă te mint, el. Mai trebuie... Caracal. Sunt prietenii mei, mă, sunt frații mei, ce aveți. Ne permitem. Și asta, binule, e PMPL-ul viața mea finală. Hai să vedem ce se întâmplă. Avem 3 echipe de România, important rău de tot. Important e să tu ce faci dacă mergi la globale, indiferent ce loc e aici, dacă e peste wall-ul, la globale direct. Nu poți, mă, dacă nu faci challenge-ul. Uite-l pe Diu. Aici bate pe amândoi, am văzut ieri faza asta. Le-a și pe ălaltul, bine. Și după aia ala din spate pe Diu aici. A, câtă săptămână sau azi e? Nu, e a doua zi din finală și mai e mâine. De la ce echipă joacă Dexter acum? E la 4 unde a jucat și înainte, fă România, man. Acum e Nexus.
I would have let you two just say, I thought you were going to say yeah, but for the audience out there, Jason, why don't you remind them? They actually had, in their first day of play, in the finals, so 6 rounds, they had 2 second place finishes with 7 kills and 1 chicken dinner with 9 kills.
Dar nu mai văd eu, mucavăș. Uitați un like și acolo și un share, vă rog eu, să ne strângem și noi, că dacă n-am mai intrat pe YouTube și astea.
And they're doing it yet again, but this time again, the question will come down to can they maintain that form over the next 2 days. 1 day is great, but you got to be able to pull a little bit more out than that if you want to keep progressing forward and improve on before. And honestly, I think what we saw yesterday out of Dexter and Do, they definitely have that potential to do it.
Aici că Dexter și cu Diu au potențial. A, nimeni nu se aștepta, oricum, nici ei, că au și spus că ei nu se așteptau ca ei, știi, Nexus-ul, gen să fie bam după prima zi, primul loc. Oricum trebuie să mă vezi pe mine de eu. Trebuie să vezi ecranul aici mare. Aici. Nu aici. Da, gen. Nu știu ce se întâmplă cu... E să tău, băi, vreau să te văd în finală, băi, la PMCO acolo, ești nebun la cap. 6 meciuri, hai să vedem 6 meciuri ce se cântă. Moldo, te pup, vă pup pe toți, Edi. E PMPL-ul, e turneu, Edi. Păi asta zic și eu, ar fi frumos Nexus-ul și 4RB-ul să meargă în ăsta, la EMEA și iese tu la globale, du-te bă, dracu, ești nebun, ar fi, ce faci, bă, nebunul meu, Daniel, te pup, viața mea, bine. Crezi că și nu joc eu, Lady. Dar nu ne uităm pe Germania, că pe noi ne interesează să auzim, frate, nu mă interesează să văd. Ne interesează și ce comentează comentatorii. Tu uiți pe Germania să ce? Hoșgurul și mă mă duc ar. M-am mai uitat la ei și nu-mi place pe Germania. Păi asta zic și eu, este tu să meargă la globale și Nexus și 4RB să meargă la EMEA, la cum ar fi, mă, cabaci. Ideea e dintre ei să tu și Wall-ul că se bat la puncte acolo. Păi asta zic, au Wall-ul ăia, un tupeu fantastic, eu am văzut, pe bune. Da, Panda, numai tu, prea nesimțit. Bă, într-adevăr, să știi că au tupeu maxim. Este la PMC sau sal? Bă, eu zic că merge la ei. Dacă au ziua de azi să o fac bombă și se distanțează 30 de puncte de ei, e bine. Dar depinde și ce face Wall-ul, aia e ideea.
Gentlemen, first round of the day. We've had things go all topsy-turvy from day one. Are things going to normalize? John, you're the stats man. You tell me.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's only 3 teams on that.
Da, mă, dar e echipă bună, Nicol, să vreau. Pe nu interesează să meargă la EMEA, pe interesează să meargă la globale. Da, știu că 18 puncte. Ele erau 27, acum sunt 18 puncte diferență. Wall-ul au 18 puncte înainte la IST. Să bagi acum primul, bam, primul direct win, ăia să moară primii, să facă și ei un punct 2, și să facă un mic cu vreo 20 de kill-uri și aia a fost. 20 de kill-uri, cu vreo 10-15 kill-uri și aia a fost. Știu că Nexus e pe primul loc. Haide pe primul meci Ranger. Păi asta zic, că trebuie un meci bun și să facă un meci 2 proaste. Un meci bun este tu, 2 proaste, Wall-ul ar trebui.
But I do think that, you know, for the guys on the desk, I really do think they missed one team in particular.
Am emoții, vrei să te mint? Eu cu ES-ul țin, adică țin cu toate echipele, că na, și cu Dexter și cu toți, că sunt români. Dar ar fi frumos. Da, și Nexus, forță, ce ai? Și 4RB-ul, forță de băieți, nu ziceți nimic? Paule, te pup viața mea. Cristi, ce faci, băi, Cristi, te pup. Pe locul 1, Fraggers, Ediu, Mucavaș. Băi, ia like-ul ăla să văd. 13 kg la egal cu Redox. Dorin pe 4 și Dexter pe 5. Și Dexter n-a jucat toate meciurile. Eu zic că Dexter să moră, dacă se ține tot așa Nexus-ul, Dexter ia MVP-ul, fii atent. Că le știu pe Necat, că e bolnav. E bolnav, pistolarul nostru. Paule, te pup viața mea. Păi da, dar vezi că nici S2 n-a jucat cine știe ce, degeaba să pe 6. Deocamdată ăia încă au puncte în diferență. Headshot Master, iată ca Pahala, după aia Atis, Dew, Exofragger și Bazi. Deci 3 la headshot. Mamă, la headshot dau ăștia numai capuri, mâncava și talentul vostru. Hac, te pup, băi, capitane.
Oh yeah, but again a nice circle here for Game Lord dropping in Yasnaya Polyana. It's a good place to start for them. To get a little bit of control coming through. For Romanian boys all the way over towards Gatka, they don't have to worry about them for a while if we do get a gas circle where we know that.
Hai că precosee sus muntele ca Pahala. Deasupra la Milton, dreapta, sus pe munte, sigur. O să coboare în jos până pe spre... Vezi că m-am mutat și eu pe live-urile la Capahala și vezi că trage bine rău să mor eu dacă vă mint. Textul pe 1 cu 89 de 4 RB-uri pe 3 și pe 6 S2, wall-ul e lângă, e pe 8. Păi și ce mod, vrei să te uiți în Germania cu aia, dar te interesează meciul că e înainte? Vinti, hello. De ce să nu te uiți pe Europa că poți să înțelegi și puțin engleză? Dacă mulți nu știu engleză, dai seama că nu se uită, se uită pe Germania. Oricum nu înțeleg nimic. Bă, nu știu ce să zic, dacă e cel mai bun din România, dar... Părerea mea zic că cel mai bun pe close din România e Atis. Părerea mea, pe close. Nu, și eu nu văd un player mai bun în România pe close range ca Atis. Părerea mea. Băiatul ăla e în stare să-ți bată o echipă full squad, indiferent de echipele care sunt acolo. Păi aia zic, englez. Per total degeaba, nu știu nici per total. Pe gândire... E foarte bun la competiții, măi, ce ești nebun? E mai bun Bazi, nu știu, depinde, mă, nu poți să faci comparații în echipa aia, că tu și Octavian ești nebun. Și Atis, și toată lumea, și Nexus-ul, și 4RB-ul, nu poți să faci comparații, înțeles?
In the PMGC points tables, who gets the spot after them? Right? Is it the PMGC?
Vorbim, Cristi, dă mesaj în privat numai aici, te rog eu din inimă.
Or if you know if they go through and win the European Championship.
3 jucători să-mi iau să fac echipă. Clar ca Pahala să o conducă. Deci ca Pahala ar fi primul să conducă. Pe gândire, number 1, ce-ai? 3 jucători, ca Pahala ar fi primul pe gândire, gen să facă zonele și rotații și unde vrea pula lui să stai. Al doilea l-aș lua la bătaie în apropiere pe Atis. Nu. Pe Atis, pe Capahala și pe Dexter. Eu n-am luat în serios, mai.
Points table because only one team gets qualified from the PMCC points.
Atis și Dexter, da, i-aș băga pe amândoi în față.
Because they play. It's a case of playing. It's like a longer format, right? I think you have a bit more.
Oh, we'll see.
Ca Pahala să facă flancul și rotațiile.
This is now a speculation.
Ai înțeles?
Speculation podcast. Let's go.
Yeah, but we are actually in game with a couple of these guys, and Nexus in particular, with the two players, Dexter as well as Do, both very good teammates. And I think the fact of the matter is that this team should really field those two players more. I think
O echipă perfectă care aș vedea, dar n-ai mă cum, că toate n-ai oricum ai luat, sunt buni.
We hadn't seen him for a while, so maybe they were just like testing the waters, see if it was lukewarm or if it was piping hot. And coming out yesterday,
Nu pot să compar, n-ai, e foarte greu.
It looked fantastic.
Nu mă mai puneți la de astea, că mi-e doare capul, ești nebun să mă gândesc care cum.
And if they can continue that kind of like pace that they were
Pe
setting
cine
yesterday,
că...
I see no reason why.
Băi, nu mă fă că e prietenul meu, băi, să zic de astea, adevărat, da, pe 5 de rău să țină chat-ul activ.
I would not be.
Te pup,
I'd be
Cristi.
hesitant to say that with a team that didn't show me they could do it.
Bazi, da, mă, dar Bazi l-am văzut să nu mai joace foarte mult ca înainte, vedeți? Faci 4 echipe din player, păi aia zic și eu. Și nu e echipe, vorbim de echipe de top, nu ne băgăm noi, eu sau voi, n-a nicio șansă. Oamenii au jucat mult serios, mă, asta e ideea, înțeles? Oamenii sunt antrenați numai cu echipe de Pmpl, au jucat serios.
All of the money. Yeah, all of the money. It's no money for anyone else. That's the rules.
Da, mă, dar eu știu, n-ai cum, e greu, mă, nu poți să compare oamenii ăștia, sunt foarte greu să compare. Andreea, te pup, mersi de like, te love you. Wolf, te pup.
Unless you're unicorns of love who are chasing for that top spot, right? Then maybe you're thinking a little bit differently. But I think a lot of teams are looking at these European Championships and thinking that's their route forwards.
Eu zic, e foarte greu să compar. Să uitați de un like pe YouTube, vă rog eu, mai ajută mult.
Another weird one is that there is actually a world where unicorns are like we've just had the discussion that unicorns are love, they could win both, but there's also a chance where they don't get either. They could drop into 6th place here.
Îi cunosc pe toți băieții, mă, Samor, n-ai cum, nu pot să fac comparație. Nu faci bine, mai ești live pe TikTok? Wow. Diana, te pup, mâncați Mâncania, m amândoi tot. Mai dai și mie follow pe Insta? Piano. Irina, te pup, viața mea. Ideea e că oamenii au sute de scrimmuri la nivel mare. Normal că joacă serios, normal că sunt antrenați, sunt pregătiți, e vorba de antrenament, pregătire. Nu poți să te compari cu ei. Oamenii au luat în serios jocul, adică, da, e altceva. Îți dai, păi dă-mi, Dianu, ce faci, urât. Panda, te pup. 4 RB-ul aici, hai să vedem româna și... Vezi că s-au rotit bine de la Gadca până aici, să mor eu. Ce face ăsta, mă, s-a întins la plajă, ce dracu, sub nuc, e obosit. Nu în viața mea, nu apărem. Că nu mai dau, îmi pare rău, mâncați și părul tău. Vezi că s-a dus bine 4 RB-ul până acolo. Da, v-am zis că Bazio se e sus cu ăștia atis. Dau liber, bă, uite până la Mason, prison-ul, și să meargă Mason, să morau liber. Că cred că zona aia o trage și sus pe munte. De Andreas n-ai acolo. Ce ți-am zis, nu? Uite acum să facă direct rotația pe la Mason, prison Mason. Ce ți-am zis înainte să o dea? Din 4 RB nu prea cunosc oamenii, ca să zic, să dau cu părerea. Ar trebui să plece direct acum, că pleacă ea cu roșu. Nu te la e forță acolo. Dar dacă apucă și ei să iei jos acasă undeva, e forță. Dar trebuie să se... Înainte de... Da, e ușor să comentezi. E greu să joci, vorba aia. QR aici, cu un carrierul. Băieții ăștia nu prea mi-a dat nimic de interes. Să mor eu băieții adică un carrier. Pmpl-ul trecut a fost forță nucleară.
They're pretty happy about that one. Conqueror's obviously on the coastal side, down towards farm. just slowly maneuvering their way
Uite, au luat
through.
ăia
The majority
TSC-ul
of the time,
deja.
towards Prison, Pubg, that's generally a free rotation path towards the end of the game, because most teams like Eastern Stars and it's Decode UK, they've already made their way into the circle, so
Uite,
Conquerors
vezi, se
can
duc
still
ăștia.
play edge, though they tend to have
Te
a lot
pui.
more success when they're able to get into that center. We saw
De
that
conqueror?
yesterday on
Nu
Sanhok.
știu, cred că au schimbat echipa sau cred că au playerii schimbați.
I am looking at Unicorns a little once again. Very late
Vreau
rotation
că
from
singur,
the
eu
blue.
zic asta, zic, nu știu.
It's what you keep talking
S-a
about.
dus la
John, it's that
Mason?
gamble, you know,
Hai să vedem
they
Mason
flip
unde
the coin,
merge.
they flip the coin every
Ia dreapta
single
Mason,
game.
nu sus
And
pe
it's not a
munte,
case of
dreapta
flipping the
Mason.
coin just once.
Ia
They
Mason, nu
flip the
Atis, nu
coin
te duce
multiple
mâncați și cu ale
times
tale.
because it's multiple
Poate
circles
să
we
opri
get
să treagă.
through, and it's multiple different
Te bagă în aia
iterations
sus,
of
din
players
TSC
within
Atis,
this
mă.
circle that you just can't
S-a
predict.
băgat în ei,
You
fii atent că s-a
cannot
băgat în...
predict
Nu.
it. So it's very, very difficult.
Well, I mean, that's the
Bă,
thing,
da,
right?
da,
And
da,
when you say flip the coin, that gives people an idea of maybe a 50-50 distribution.
Că lua
But
și
I
Atis,
feel
nu
like
cred
that
că?
just isn't the case.
Te dați un knock singur să mor.
Flipping it multiple times,
Haide,
like
bă,
it's
dă-i
a case
toți,
of
dă-i
one
toți.
that heads
Well,
like
I mean-
5 times in a
Bun,
row,
bun,
right?
bun, bun.
Okay, but I mean, yeah, absolutely. But it's very.
Bazi, dă-le nade la ăștia
unlikely
jos.
to actually pay off, and in general, the expected value of the play.
Mamă, dacă ia zona asta de aici,
is far below
i-a terminat.
playing normally.
Mamă, dar să nu ne
Eastern
vine
Stars
aia
locked in
cu...
combat with TSC. Eastern Stars obviously the main combatant in those
Au, doi
PMGC
că
point
stau mult
tables
rău.
with the Unicorns of Love right now. Neither of them have been having a stellar final so far.
Da, Marley ăla era foarte bun. Atis, ce v-am zis pe close, și-a dat knock singur Atis. Haide mă, dă-le knock, bine-s? Haide mă, cați și curul tău, dacă îi bateți pe ăștia, dacă nu e, sunteți forțe nucleare să... Nu, 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 nu! Trebuie să-i bate pe ăștia doi, mă, și mai rămâne ea doi și iarde. Dă-le nade, dă-le nade. Bine-s, bine-s, bine-s! Pleacă înapoi să nu vede enoc sau finish. Dacă mâncați și cu aia tare de acolo. Atis, du-te bă de aici, că e numărul 1 pe close. Are un tupeu băiatul ăla fantastic. Mai unul, mai unul. Câți mai ies? Dar unde e? Că numai 3 văd de la ei. Azi bate Finala și Pmpl. Au rămas în 3. Puh, fii mi-ar scârbă de ei. Așa au și zona, cred că acolo. Să nu mai de ăsta un finish, că cred că îl sparg. Că muși din telefon. Mamă, nu mai stai acolo, Bazi. Sus, hai sus de luță.
Yeah, already losing Kappahala is pretty difficult. They're on the headstone
Ce
here
faci,
of
mă,
the
nene,
break
mă?
of the
Haide,
team
mă,
from
să
the
te bată
west.
și pe
And
tine,
that
mâncați și
circle to finish us out as well. Teams starting to move already, so they are starting to have. You can see them swirling around the foothills there. Nexus Gaming making their path through, and actually moving towards Mansion. No one's there at the moment. It looks like Nexus Gaming might be the first.
If Nexus can pick up that, it's actually a decent position to play around. Nexus have had a fair bit of success in these type of circles actually before, John.
Te pup, Diana.
So I'd be happy to see them take up a position here, because most of the time when they
Dați un
have
like
played
toți
the
voi.
circle, it's been more or less towards the edge side or playing out
Voi
in the
n-aveți
trees.
idee,
So
băieții ăștia
taking
toți
up
îmi
that
sunt prieteni
central
foarte buni, să
position
mor
here
dacă
where
nu.
there is a compound
Toți
to
cu
play
Bazi,
back
mă
off,
înțeleg,
there is
nu
a
mai
little bit
zic
of
o,
cover.
dar
You know, that could give
iar nu
the
mai zic și
edge
cu
to
Atis.
Nexus that they needed
Ca
in
Valhalla
this
și cu
situation.
el.
Game
Dar nu
on
la
picked
fel
up
ca
a few
restul.
stories towards the top side of the map here on the north. They do have a road to
Nexusul
cross
s-a dus
going
sus acolo
forward,
la
but it's just
Mason.
kind of that
După câte văd eu.
snaking road that slips down towards Pubg that they're just behind at the moment. So it's not very likely they'll be in the next circle, but it does give them at least a little bit of a chance here to hold onto a position, waiting for that next zone where they can make a snap second judgment decision where they want to go next.
There's a lot of
It's
compounds
about
in this area, Blank. This fields, this wooded hills really is littered with small amounts of buildings, little setups, which means that I imagine we're going to see quite a lot
Avem
of teams
62 români.
in separate ones. We're going to see a couple of 1-2
Mamă,
team
ești?
strats going on, but I feel like we
Nu mai
might
zic
see
nimic.
quite a few more teams survive than we're
Și
kind of
capa e
used to.
top, da, mă,
And a lot of
aici el,
compound
capa
rush
mi
is
se
coming
pare
through in our
forță. Uite,
future.
băieții ăștia un ochi, bravo. Costi.
Nice little first
Tot
shot
român.
there from Costi, but you are right. There should be
That's
a
for
fair
now,
few
Costi.
compound crashes here. It's a bit
Bazi le-a
awkward
luat
as
pe
well,
la bravo,
considering,
Bazi, mâncați
you
ești.
have down towards
Rău.
Pubg, which is basically that sheer
Au
decline
4
into
puncte.
that area, so no one's want to play around
Să
there.
moară
You've
Wolu,
also got
acum
Prison
se e
down
bine,
towards the
să
south side,
tăuși
which
pe
creates
doamne,
like
și du-te la
almost a strange
teiuși.
little apple within this circle where it's difficult to play around that area, and it's really just those cliff sides you can go into. If you're really desperate, you can drop down, but it's a little bit of a death sentence in that sense of the word. Eastern Stars do pick up the last player from TSC, so Andy is out, and Eastern Stars secure a position on the west side.
Yeah, for now. Circle not quite about to pop. Unicorns of Love, they've been holding on the east of Yasnaya, playing very edge-based right now. Seems that that's where they want to hold, that's where they want to be, right on the edge. Maybe they don't have too much of a choice. They were in Yasnaya a little bit towards that, but again, on to mention CP Young roster, Nexus Gaming, holding right in the middle. Teams maybe looking to take it from them, or maybe just find some of those buildings a little bit further out. They're not having the best time of it, Blank. I know you said you wanted to see them do well, but I don't know if your prayers are going to be answered.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, Kashi getting taken down is a little bit sad, really, because that guy is like my number one off-angle specialist. Octavian's really fell behind, in my opinion.
Yeah,
with Kashi becoming my number one in this lobby in particular. Yeah, so sorry, Octavian. You're still my number two, and you will always have a warm place in my heart. I think for Eastern Stars, though, still taking a couple of shots there, just about.
N-a murit Tesetou, a murit doar Kapahala din echipă și a bătut un full squad pe TSC-ul. Acum depinde că sunt în marginea zonei, să vedem ce o să facă pe viitor, cum o să și cât de departe de zona de ei. Wall un knock. Haide bă, să moară wall-ul. E foarte important. Wall, Alexandra, te pun în suc.
LMV a full 4 as well. Talon skirts across.
Bun, a dat unul de la... Nu lăsați pe ăla, lăsați să moară acolo. E bine, au zona. Îi ține pe wall-ul și au și wall-ul și în dreapta și în stânga și ES-ul. E bine, e forț. Și stă și bine sus pe high ground acolo. Aici sunt deja 3 echipe. Nexus nu are nicio problemă acolo, nu-i pușează nimeni, se mor dacă nu stau bine toți 4 în casa aia. 4 de B-ul, mă, s-a dus. S-a dus băieții ăștia, cred că. Ăsta ce face acolo? Da revive?
Chasmac Gaming, I feel like, well, certainly for me, they were the most improved team over the course of this tournament, and now they're taking on Romania boys who, as we know, had an incredible day
cum s-a prins cu ăștia, mă, mâncați. Disi, salut!
But there are shots still ringing out across the hills. Redox last standing for
the
squad.
Redox.
4 players alive for Chasmac Gaming, though, and you have to wonder, as strong as he is, built like a bull, is he able to rampage down here? I don't think so.
Iar văd că fac și acolo niște kill-uri. Atis văd că dă pe unul din lămă, văd și finish-ul. Au 5 puncte până acum, cel mai multe. Bravo. 4 de B-ul luat.
Sarah goes down now as well. 4 Romanian boys. Last player alive is Redox, but Conqueror's here, which is trying to make
Conquerorul se bat cu ăștia, a luat gaura, bun. A murit unul de la ei, bă, cum dracu a murit ăla, mă? Ba nu, stai că nu a murit de la Conqueror. Wall-ul aici, haide mă, nu lăsa să vă bată ăștia, în pula mea că sunteți 4. N-ai voie să mori. Trebuie să-i bateți, mă, mucava și cu ele voastre. Bă, nu te da înapoi! Veni, bate.
This is a very interesting fight. LMV Talon tries to move around the rock side, doesn't get too much done.
Mai e unul, să moară Bibi dacă nu-l bați pe ăsta. Să moară cine o fi dacă nu-l bați bine. Bine. Că ne dă revive la full squad. Uai, că noroc să moară Bibi. Uai, și n-are cine să-i bată aici. Și au și 2 puncte, 2. Bine, Pubg, mă, băiat. Nexus un 3, S2 un 3, i-a dat zona. Dă cum pleacă S2 de acolo. Mă, nu putea să mor. Ia S2? S-a dus în zonă să mor, bravo Bazi. Dau dumul, nu te duce prea departe, mâncați și cu ele tale prea multe duci. Ai 2 echipe acolo, Bazi.
The difficulty comes when you keep going.
Mamă, Octavian s-a dus la Teiuș. Unde s-a dus Octavian? A, uite, l-a auzit. Nu opri.
Now that you also have to think, well, maybe they adapt their play style for
Îl ia.
playing against different teams. This is a lobby-specific play style.
Mi-a dat smoke-ul bun.
It still is part of
Ba,
the
din
question,
luat,
and I
mort,
feel
a
like
murit.
that's not where you want to be.
Prea mult s-a dus, să mor eu. Chiar cu wall-ul. N-au voie să facă puncte. Uite și trăiesc în pula mea. Mai fac puncte. Dar și nu s-a oprit aici, am de concherul. Un pic mai în față, au... Uite, exact unde concherul alea două, acolo era o zona bună. Că a trecut pe acolo și nu era nimeni să mor și ținea numai spatele pe aia. Să moară și wall-ul aici, mă. Haide, mă, du-te în pula mea să suci. Mor bulangiule. Ține-l, bă, acolo să moară, băga mici pula în el.
I'll eat my words there as well, Blank. They looked like they were winning that fight. It really did. But now they're really struggling, being guarded out, and this is the price you pay for a late rotation.
Yeah, because it was that back.
De ce pula mea te-ai dus și tu? Are 7 first-uri Blangiu părdit.
Has 6 first aid kits, so he can wait it out. But it's with the decode UK, nice position with the circle, able to hold out to that northern side.
Ah, dar n-avea zona aici, mă, bună.
Just over through there, but it will be Extreme Slayers from the east, which will get a quick knock on to Exquisite Decode UK.
Nexus-ul cu Chesme se bate acolo, cred că a murit Nexus sau...
Excuse me, and Nexus desperately want to stay in. There's still 9 teams alive, which makes them not really going to earn too many points in this game if they go down.
Și cum a reușit să ajungă ăștia de acolo jos la ei? Haide, mă, să vedem. Nexus-ul cred că i-a bătut. No, eliminat. Concherul eliminat și el. Nu e bine, este degeaba. A murit și ăla din Wolf. Am văzut Moldo. Nu au făcut nici ei puncte, cred că s-a egal. Mamă, iau 9 puncte.
Certainly have priority position, but everybody's going to be looking their way as well. Need to be careful.
Așa, vezi că stau bine aici, au zona băieții, vezi că stau bine rău.
And whilst they do have that foothold in the circle, they've got Chazmak Gaming with 4 players who can sweep from the south.
Casmac,
with 2 standing. One of them down. You can see Ali down at the front there. Needs to try and pick up the pieces. So can they hold off?
I know, I mean, to be fair, we didn't see them in that last Super Weekend, and we didn't see too much of them yesterday, although they were holding their own.
Că sunt doi români.
It's really time now for me to see
Eliminat Super Young. Au și ei 6 kill-uri. Eugen, Vuf. Nu uitați de un like, mă ajută mult de tot. Bine, treaba nu era, dar nu pe ăla de la case. Dar mortul că ții de acolo finish-ul de la case. Bine. Pușați-i. N-aveți baghiul ăla. A, l-are pe acolo. Dacă dă nou și la ăla, se pușeze să mor. Uai. Asta e grenada, fete ca asta e grenada. Ia-te numai. Ai molotov. Îi dă grenada, mă, prezent. Dacă scoate pe ăla e forță, l-a scos, cred că. Deci și la unde-i? Da, Nexus, 4 răbâi și 6 români. Dacă l-a scos pe ăla de la piață, băi, ești nebun? O să-i ține în afara zonei, cred că pe ea.
He's been vibing the whole time, but now he has an off angle, needs to be a little bit careful from Excuse Me's position. They should be okay. Extreme Slayers try and make their way out. Pappy stays alive for now. now, but there's an angle. No, not quite landing the shots there. Trazen back down. They got the res. Chazmac Gaming still with 4, but the nades can go in now. Next circle pops and Extreme Slayers are striking out for that.
Uai, grenada. Uai, mă, 2, am și zis.
Another one over the top as well. Looking for the shots, but it's MZ to backstop. Aza as well, still in the fight, guarding them from the other side as Trazen crawls across to his teammate.
Daniel, nu ne da spoturi, că nu ne interesează viața mea, pe bune vorbesc. Chiar nu interesează. Chiar ne pasă, noi vrem să ne uităm.
Because with Decode UK, they lose Alicio finally. Now just Daddy looking to ladder up though. 4th place, even if he goes down now, it's a good result. Muzi will be finished off by Aza and Pappy.
Iulia, te pup, viața mea.
All alone. 4 players from Chazmac Gaming, 13 kills on the game. They've played exemplary Pubg Mobile this game. From the south,
echipe de român, da, și una pe jumate QSM.
Keeping themselves alive. And now they're reaping the reward. Excuse me, 2 players have got the high ground, but they're not in the circle. Only Pappy really is in the circle here.
Yeah, I mean, you got Pappy and Daddy. Only 2 fathers to stick around to the very end, it seems. So good stuff from them at least. They are the single players of the circle. Chazmac, the 4-man. They've been getting very good at cleaning out these end circles now, so you would expect them to finish out this, accepting some kind of miracle from all these teams.
Molotov from Excuse Me, looking to burn out Daddy's position, but not quite going to connect on the damage just yet. Kosti, good for the resupply on the crate. I think that one already got taken. No helmet appeared there. Kosti gets spotted out. The damage is there, but it's not going to quite finish it off. However, that's going to be good. And Daddy picks up another point for Exquisite Decode UK.
Yeah, that looked scary for a minute there. He started trying to shoot through the vehicle. And the vehicle somehow had a bit of metal that was invisible, sticking out the side. Good place nade. First for 3, just to be sure on it. And I'll be, excuse me, going down. Daddy ladders up to 3. Oh god, okay, we got an interesting final circle, but Chazmac all but sure to win this one out. Now it depends who can stay alive the longest. Daddy could backstab Pappy here though.
Ooh, the nades over the top.
Adelina, pupa, mersi de subscribe, te pup, iule.
I don't know if they knew that already. Nades maybe a little bit sparse for Chazmac Gaming. You can see no meds basically for Shadowend, but there goes Daddy. And now it's just Pappy, Chazmac Gaming.
Și la Vodafone sunt 2. Dar nu știu, că n-am stat să mă uit care cum e.
Chazmac Gaming, 30 points on the chicken dinner.
Sincer să fiu. Dar mersi frumos, te pup. 15 kill-uri, 30 de puncte meciul ăsta, primul meci, în ziua a doua e forță. Trebuie român la Vodafone, am înțeles. Nu m-am uitat sincer cine joacă la echipele alea. M-a interesat doar S2 cu Nexus și cu 4DB. Știu mă, știu, la QSM știu că sunt 2 români.
I think Vodafone Giants as well was another one to talk about, particularly because they crumbled so easily under Conqueror. You know, they just dropped into that little trench and then just cleaned them up like it was nothing. Similarly with Nexus going down to Excuse Me. So unfortunate stuff for some of our teams.
Păi da, nu mă interesează, frate, că eu vreau să aud. Pe mine mă interesează ce comentează.
It's a chance to bring it back to a little bit of normalcy. But still, we see teams like Big going down early and not having the greatest of times and not having the performance that we were expecting.
Trei românul 2? Ah, ok. Ne mă interesează ce se aude aici, ce zic ăștia în engleză de echipele noastre. Pe Germania nu înțeleg nimic.
Maybe shouldn't have been allowed to, but still they don't get too many points this time around. They don't do fantastically. But then, yeah, I think Vodafone Giants and Nexus Gaming going down as early as they did, that's the main story. As well as 4 Romania boys, the 4 veritable titans of the...
La fel și pe mine Moldo, cel mai mult mă interesează S2.
I think you touched on something interesting there for Unicorns because they did have some good fights, but they're the type of player that goes to play airsoft, and they are first in every single time, and constantly getting and go back to the spawn point. What I'm trying to say is, you know, they're getting pelleted by so many bullets during these games. they have to leave the day early because they're bruised, they're battered by the time they get into the circle. They're not having a good time. 2 players, 1 player, you know, a couple players still out in the blue, and that's what's typically going to happen. You're not going to be able to force your way into the circle and not expect to have to fight 2 teams when you've got no information. And I think that there was an interesting play during that game for Unicorns of Love, which is they just sent it at LMV. And what that says to me is that they would rather send it at a team where they have a relative idea of their position rather than head down towards the east or the west side, because they have no idea what's going on down there.
Yes, it's a lack of scouting, really, or lack of information, maybe not lack of scouting, but lack of information towards crucial positional paths. And like we highlighted, that's because they have taken so long to get there, to start rotating, that they haven't had the time to do efficient or good scouting.
Bravo, Benza, mi-a merg tu pe Germania, că nu mă interesează pe Germania.
We've had a lot of criticisms of the Unicorns of Love play
Pe mă interesează în engleză sau nu în germană. Că e cu 5 minute în plus, pe mine nu mă interesează. Angela, te pup.
So many positives come out of those criticisms because it's like, yeah, but they're so good, John.
Da, mă, da, știu că e mai în față live-ul la Nems, dar pe nu mă interesează. Eu vreau să aud ce zic băieții. Înțelegeți ce zic? Eu vreau să aud băieții ce zic în engleză.
We'll have to wait and see. Only time will tell. Still, plenty more games for them to go. We'll see you guys after the break.
Aiurea, a fost greșat, bărcat. Așa vorbesc ea, ce dracu să mai înțeleg. Vreau să văd ce zice de World, ce zice de ST, ce comentează între ei, echipele, ce zic. Dar mă pot să vă zic și vouă, nu? Alina, ce faci, Alina? Angie, te pup. Te-ai uitat la un turneu, Alina, tu ce faci? Am crezut că ai venit să mă pup și pe mine, dacă ai venit doar așa și să-ți iei Mac, poftă mare, te pup. Am crezut că ai venit și tu să mă pup pe mine, să mă iubești un pic. Ia pe zi, Kentule, ce e supărat?
Well, we were just talking about how it's possible for teams to get themselves 30 points with obviously those 15 kills on board and the chicken dinner, and ChazMac Gaming come out and pull it off, just like a fantastic move up in the rankings that we'll see later on today. Remind you guys once again, our sponsor here of the PMPL Western Europe Season 2 with its 15-minute recharge. All the players can easily use that time in between rounds to get their phone back to that battery percent they want to play on at 100%, and so they can play at 100% as well. But gentlemen, Kalaris and Maxman, let's take a look at the match rankings, get an idea of the other teams and the points they did get. But ChazMac, I mean, the bounce back, again, that an okay day one. If you go to day 2 playing like this, they could easily come now to the top spot. It's so crazy to see how it changes so fast.
This was the most impressive ChazMac game we have seen the entire tournament long, Jason. This was absolutely fantastic by them. Not only a case of like having hard circles to deal with, sweeping down south, taking out Conqueror the way they did. I loved everything about what we saw back here.
And they also got rid of 4 remaining boys at one point. They took down some of the top teams in terms of fragging potential in this entire tournament, and they remained until the last second as a 4-man roster. Every single fight they took a 4-on-4, and they made it out absolutely untouched. And they even got double naded at the end by some players of Extreme Slayers, and they were able to get the rest back up. It just shows how they were so good at dealing with that amount of pressure coming their way. So heads up, being in positions like that is not easy. It's not an easy feat, and yet he was able to pull through with the team for the wide spread at the end to make sure they closed off that game. It's nothing less than impressive from Chazmac Gaming, but we want to see more from them. Hopefully this is just not a one-off game. We want to see them just be a little bit consistent, and if they can do so, this could be the jump up of Chazmac Gaming today.
Yeah, I mean, as we mentioned with Extreme Slayers too, like that's a lot of points for them to get Exquisite Decode after their victory they had yesterday. They seem to be kind of not really there, so we're starting to see some other teams now have a good start to the day. Unicorns of Love, yes, 7 points, albeit just that, but that does mean they get further and further ahead of Eastern Stars when it comes to our race to the PMGC.
Uite, vezi și ce Eastern Stars, PMCO, Wall-ul. Înțelege foarte important. În germană nu mai înțeleg, frățioare, ce vorbesc ăștia. Wall-ul ăsta sau la vechi, vindule? Păi tot același aproape. Fără ăla ce-a plecat în America, cum îl cheamă. Uite, vezi, a răspuns Iulia în locul meu, că m-a simțit bine. Bravo, Iulia. Dar nu, Iulia, că degeaba vorbești cu ea, că tot cum vrea capul ei face. Dar suc, de ce să-mi dai mie bani? Mihaela, te pup. Hai că numai 2 puncte au făcut în fața lor.
In terms of the rotation and the scouting, I think there was some scouting going down, but then they suddenly realized, oh, there's a team there already. Oh, there's a team there already. Let's rotate wider. Oh, there's a team there already. Let's rotate wider. Oh, well, I guess we've got to do something now, right? And that's
nu-i încăpățânată, nu-i pasă, atâta tot nu sunt.
I gotta say, kind of an unfortunate game in the end.
Una e să fii încăpățânat și alta să nu spese.
When it came to prediction game, of course, I'll give you that one. You should be happy about. But let's maybe drop into now our top players from the last round and get an idea. Again, who's really standing out? I was looking for Redox, but obviously it's got to be all Chazmac. And other fingers. Well, I was gonna say the fingers are all going the same way, but Trey's and Alder seem to have copy each other.
MZ just feels very threatening. I don't know.
He looks way cooler than the other guys. Let's be fair.
His hand is so big.
It's let's not talk about the big hands. Let's get TSC Legends back in here. That was no, but okay. So this game, it was like you're playing a video game and you get to that level where it's like a boss gauntlet. You've killed all the other bosses in the previous game, and now it's time to fight them all again, but just in sequence, right? They're rotating forwards. They run into Eastern Stars. They kill them. They rotate forwards. They're up against Conqueror in that position. They kill them. They move forward. Super Young Roster's there. It's like, oh, another boss to have to deal with. They kill them and then move into the circle. Somehow, despite being knocked by grenades, getting everybody up. I loved the crisis management from Chazmac Gaming.
Nu-mi pasă ce loc este tu. Dar numai să facă punctele peste wall-ul.
And there was only Conqueror and Chazmac Gaming remaining in the southern side. I think that was actually good for Chazmac in some way, because that actually took a lot of the attention away from that fight between Conqueror and Chazmac Gaming. So you had no third parties from Extreme Slayers, from a potentially, or Super Young roster, and they could just focus on each another. And the moment they won that fight, because no one was really locking in that direction, they get back up first of all, man, heal up, get himself into the cars and start moving forward. So that actually hard circle way
niciun de Jerry că nu le dau.
Okay.
Îi pasă, nu interesează.
Chazmac a little bit more. We need to look at their averages in the Super Weekends against their averages in the finals. Again, give you guys an idea, are they performing about how they have been doing in the Super Weekends, or have they been improving? And again, like a lot of other teams we're seeing,
e gen persoana doar eu și atât, restul nu mai contează nimic.
Almost up to 5 kills average. That's definitely a really strong performance here. Especially a lot of that comes from this last game, but when you do the average over those 7 games,
pare rău, nu le dau Jerry.
It's just I want to
trebuie să ți le faci tu ca să joci mai bine.
Consistently, we haven't seen too much from them yesterday when it comes to making it to the late game, to the last few circles. So hopefully this is just not a one-off. As I said earlier, I want to see them make it a little bit longer. But that survival time is definitely increasing.
Hai că-i pasă dacă e ceva, e pasă de un mec, mai mult decât de mine, vrei să te mint?
36-second average.
I think something that's important as well is in these final moments of the game.
Păi se bate la mondiale acum. Este tu cu ăl.
Take a look at their overall roster here. Like, because you go through so many fights in a game of PUBG Mobile and you
Și restul se bat pentru EMEA, locul top 4 sau top 3, nu știu care trec, top 3 echipe parcă, nu?
Get your smokes back, get some grenades back and stuff like that. Going in some of those final circles, I don't think they had much utility left at all. So to be able to survive in those hazardous points, in those hazardous situations without the utility,
este fișiu, Banca Națională Viața mea, de unde bani, mâncați discurul tău? Deci 5 trec la EMEA din Europa? Nu cred.
And we're seeing Trazen. I mean, he's up there on damage, kills as well at 35, 60 knocks. I think is the really impressive one. So he's opening up fights for his team and he's closing out kills, which is massively important. And they're also looking down the rest of the team. I mean, obviously they had a couple switches coming out, coming in, especially as the in-game leader for the team. But then as we, keep that in mind, taking a look at their stats in the final so far, it's again finding out is Trazen living up to what they need him to do, or is he unfortunately underperforming right now? And we'll check out his stats here and see.
I mean, relative to
what 5, mamă, 5 se duc la EMEA acum, vai de pula mea câte se duc, păi nu e greu cu aia să treci la EMEA, să mor.
What we saw from him through the season, in terms of like seeing him constantly always being that surviving snake towards the end and being able to put up the numbers, very impressive by Trazen in my opinion.
So, guys, MZ, this was his first game in the finals, and they got a chicken dinner. Coincidence?
I mean, he is a really good IGL. That's all I can tell you. He deals with these moments really well, and I'm happy to see him do so good.
Iulia, că e cum zic eu, înțelegi?
Last season was also the big fragger from Clash when it came to season 1 PMPL. So both of them together, I mean, it worked out great this game. I want to see more.
Is there the opportunity for them to have the 4-man on playing, but then have the 5th man leading them behind them, like in comms? Is that allowed?
Păi da, mă, dar ce echipe joacă la globale? De adevărat. China numai e, America numai e, Africa numai e.
Perspective, like when the 4-man's playing. But anyway, no, sorry, I was theorizing. I don't know if that's allowed or not.
I believe you're allowed to have coaches inside the voice chat, but they just can't look at anything, but they can be there. So probably they can have the sub in there too. I believe so.
Yeah, okay.
The only thing I'm sure of is that they're using a special moisturizing cream to keep that blue light off their face and to keep them from aging. You guys at home though, what's up?
No, they're not.
You guys at home, there are still some other things you guys can be getting for yourselves. There's the fall special crate currently happening, where it's going on sale. You can actually go to the PUBG Mobile store and get some outfits that you see the pro players using. So if you like what you see, go pick it up. And I like what I see coming into the studio. We got John and Blake coming back in once again, gentlemen, looking fantastic, looking ready to go. But Chaz coming out strong with the first game. It's really like, I think none of us really know who's going to win at this rate.
I mean, and that's why we have to play the rest of the tournament. I feel like that's... Is that why we're doing
That's Captain Obvious.
Oh no, I agree with Jason completely. Actually, it's hard because I don't know which team is going to win. But the thing is, I'm not sure which team to focus on. I think that's one of the biggest difficulties I'm having right now. Is it's very difficult to figure out which team to keep an eye on this whole time. Specifically because there are so many teams that can make it to the top at the moment. So, for instance, last game trying to keep track of Vodafone Giants, Nexus,
e pe 2, se bate cu World la puncte.
Maybe they continue this momentum going through, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you've got these other teams coming into the fold. And like the guys on the desk said, brilliant points as well.
Salut,
coming
George,
into the team, obviously fantastic IGL, been brought back in again. He's had a lot of success within that team, and instantly get that chicken dinner. Yeah, Chazmac could now be another force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and to be fair, I've talked about
nu e calificată, Vlad, ți-am spus mai devreme că se bate cu ei la puncte.
The most improved team over the course of this entire tournament. Yeah, exactly. When you take a look at my calculations, then you can kind of it does just come out that way. I mean, people were saying maybe Team Doom, maybe Extreme Slayers is another one as well. That I was talking about a little bit as one of the most.
Undeva în jur de 20 de puncte, Sebastian. 19-20 de puncte. Nexus pe 1 a rămas. 4 de pe 1 pe 3. Este 2 pe 8. Polo pe 9.
Maybe not. Maybe crucial part of their team and their performance.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of funny with Chazmak because it's a case of thinking to yourself, they're a vastly improved team, but they're probably one of the only teams where I thought to myself, one of the only other teams with the Nexus where I thought to myself, no,
Ce trecut de telefonul ăla de a da la 319 metri. Vitul ăla. Ce trecut de telefonul ăla la 319 metri.
That new player would be due, in my opinion. I mean, he's basically just the golden boy of Nexus. Like, I've been very, very proud of that guy, and I think that.
Dar general, și de Pmpl-ul ăla a trecut. Dețin punctele. Pentru Wall-ul și ST-ul, care sunt, numai ele două se mai bat.
You have to do so much in that situation as June. There's a lot riding on it. A lot of people are expecting from you, and he absolutely.
Mama, hai caut să se rotească Wall-ul mult rău de tot, e bine.
Huge round of applause to that boy right there. So honestly though, Dexter back in the fold, dude's probably quite happy about that.
Mamă, 3 echipe.
Not as much weight on my shoulders anymore, you know. He's pulled a few of those plates off the barbell, and he's taken towards his side of the rack.
În los 3 echipe, hai că Bazic ăștia e liber acolo la ei. Partea aia cu dreapta să se rotească.
Exquisite Decode UK got a little bit further up north.
iPhone.
LMV, they like to go, well, they have gone to Pmpl before.
Da, e bun iPhone 12 Pro.
Time will tell.
Yeah, I imagine they will do. Just pick up a few vehicles, then fly your way up to that side. Exquisite Decode UK, I mean, they're so well planted within Al-Azhar at this point in time. I think it would be a mistake to try and challenge them on this position. It is kind of just their spot at this point. For LMV, they're very happy up in Campo Militar, which it looks like they're starting to make their way up to now of a few vehicles on the side. Vodafone Giant, yesterday Miramar was slightly more kind to them, with a few circles heading over towards that west side, which they were able to capitalize on. Favorite one was the second Miramar of the day, which is where they just kind of sat and did nothing basically all game, which is fine. That works. It works. They did play as 2 players, so still fantastic stuff to make it that far as just 2.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in the Extreme Slayers position, actually, at the moment. I mean, in Minas del Sur, they're playing all the way on that southwestern island, obviously trying to drop out very early and get their loot in. But I feel like Unicorns of Love haven't had people at their back too many times in rotations like this. The question for me is, which direction do Extreme Slayers go?
Yeah, it's an interesting little step drops, and you imagine the Unicorns of Love haven't dropped mega split like they used to, which is where they kind of create that.
Nu știu Vlad deocamdată, să văd acum după ce trece Pmpl-ul de luni. De luni mă bag și eu pe joc.
To maybe inadvertently do something good. I think too many times they get caught behind super young roster and don't go anywhere. So if you've got like a couple of pretty good players at your back, you're more than likely to be like, well, maybe we should find a better place within the circle earlier this time, because we can't really hang around. We're more than likely going to have to take a fight. Most of their rotational paths involve going down towards the southeast of Minas del Valle and then heading up through the road there through that passes through Los Leones. So
eu mă întind cam pat peste unul ăsta să moară Bibi. Dacă tot mă uit cu voi. Se califică ei sunt tu, că sunt forți.
Certainly is different.
E prost să mă atins cu piciorul.
And maybe a good one. So everything kind of settles just a little bit.
It evens out
the gradient of the tables a little bit shallower this time.
Yeah, exactly, John. I think that it is quite interesting now looking at the point scoring.
Haide mă, lasă-l.
Specifically when
Gata,
my actual
am rezolvat-o. Acum aș revine.
Da,
mă, dar aș revine acum.
With Exquisite Decode UK, you know, they have jumped up just a little bit, right? And they did well. I think Daddy did extremely well to get as far as he did, which will bump them with the rankings, which is great. But also that wasn't their best map. It seems to me that more often than not, Miramar is where they perform massively. You know, yesterday on their second Miramar of the day, getting the chicken dinner with 7 kills and a total of 22 points. This is time for Exclusive Decode UK to shine, especially with his position up towards El Azhar. They have a lot of control over this side of the map, so I have high hopes for them here.
Oh dear. As you say, one of the star players for Nexus does
get
get knocked,
knocked.
but it's from Suave, and there's no backup from the rest of Big. I feel like this is a really heads-up retreat.
E full squad acum se sente. Ăsta cred că o să fugă de aici.
They know the rest of Nexus is there, and they don't want to overcommit to this fight. I feel like it's intelligent what Big have done.
Da, fuge.
Yeah, it is intelligent what Big have done here. I mean, getting forward a little bit, getting a knock, taking a more advantageous position for yourself where you can start to gatekeep a team like Nexus and take control of this side of the map. It's
Ala compound-ul ăla Nexus-ul, bravo. Cine că n-a murit cineva.
Fairly open space, and Chazmak away in the wings there as well, so it's going to be more difficult.
Te calculează și
Big
tu.
really need to control this push coming through from Nexus.
18 meciuri se joacă în finală, 3 zile, câte 6 meciuri pe zi.
Still pretty wary, and rightly so. I mean, one of them did just get shot.
Da, bă, Cristi, ce o să fac, nu știu.
Which would put the nerves in you a little bit. Extreme Slayers, their path that they've chosen to take has gone to the east, so not at the back of Unicorns of Love. So we might not see too much of a change coming through from the Unicorns themselves. And the Extreme Slayers, they're just going to cross out towards the south end of Los Leones, have to decide which direction they want to go, which direction they want to take into this circle.
Yeah, just figure it out which way you actually want to head in. Vodafone Giants ahead of them. They've actually pushed through Monte Nuevo, heading up towards Hacienda. Water treatment, usually a decent place to stop off.
Hai că vine prima zonă.
But yeah, this has changed things up for Unicorns a little bit in a way.
Alina.
I think that usually they're much more confident to push down towards the south side, but it's sped up the rotation a little bit with Unicorns of Love fresh, as well as Lin already passing up towards La Driera.
Unicorns of Love au și echipă bună, fraieri, oricum.
In the wings behind. Game Lord, on the other hand,
Frei și ăla joacă bine, și Lin, și sunt mulți.
passing through their position shortly, but they have a decent spot round here at the moment. With a lot of good sightlines available to them should any player try to pass through this territory.
Game Lord trying to pick up the pieces. This is again the team that you said you wanted and expected more from at the start of the day. Didn't have the greatest time over on Erangel, but on San Martin, they've got a pretty decent rotational set of paths available to them. Vodafone Giants to the north. Maybe a tricky time.
Auzi muzică direct, de unde?
Chasma Gaming, they have the
joacă în fără mea, man?
position up the top of the Red Rock. The Western Junkyard there, you can see that's a lot of rotational paths actually covered off by their sightlines. A lot of the area around that graveyard, around that junkyard position can be covered off by those sightlines. Obviously the risk you run is if you get knocked on top of the rock, it's very difficult to get rezzed.
It is very difficult to get res. Once you're down, you are down. And more often than not, trying to go for that res becomes...
Să-mi atins cablu, mă, să-mi pot eu. Asta mai trebuie. Dați așa că vă dau drumul acum, mă. Am atins iară cablul ăsta, băga mici.
A difficulty in...
Gonna be pretty deep.
Haide, mă, iară faci figură, mă.
In terms of the real estate value, as Vodafone Giants probably have one of the better spots here.
Yeah, it's an alright spot for them, 100%. I think there's some good sorts of towards water treatment as well, where you can drop into water treatment. I think that's like one of those plays where you make, where it's a case of, oh, things are going to hell, I think it's time to get into water treatment, then just kind of take it easy. But yeah, the south side is starting to really get quite tight for a few of these teams. You know, you've got a lot of these players passing through the Valley of Death, or just the north side of Picardo, where people can take shots on you from the upper side of the hill. CPO and Roster, they've moved in towards Vodafone Giants' position, already got a knock on side. Ex Machina just decides to, you know, there we go, let the car experience what it needs to experience. But CPO and Roster, they're flying into position.
Vodafone Giants are going to suffer for it. Sebi already downed. And Vodafone Giants, they don't even want to go for the save here. They just want to keep 3 alive, keep position. And maybe that's more valuable.
Alino.
Maybe that is more valuable in this scenario.
Mai ești pe aici, Alina?
Punches, well, okay, pulls out the AKM at the end, but looked a little bit shaky there. Result does pick up the point, and that's the first kill of the game plank. It's been 10 minutes, it's been almost 11 minutes now, and that's the first kill that we've seen.
Yeah, it's been a tense game, to say the least. I think most people are making some damn good rotations to make this one happen. So honestly, so far, good stuff, good stuff. Foramania boys, very central. This is it's looking good for Foramania boys. I mean, it is a promising start for them. And usually they perform very well from these types of positions. Explicit Decode UK, they're still making the slow approach from the Eastern side. But Eastern Stars, they've also made their way in. You know, the classic Eastern Stars from the East, as per usual.
Behind Exquisite Decode UK though, and playing Edge on Miramar, not always the easiest. TSC very central. Unicorns Alive now potentially have the ability to guard out, on the west. LMV, they're chilling in the north side.
LMV don't really do too much. I mean, this is a typical position they like to play, where they'll just hang out on this north side and not have to do too much after coming down from Campo Militar. I think it does become difficult on Campo Militar, but realistically, LMV have been fairly lucky in that regard, not having to do too much. Moving along this hillside, this ridge, will be very beneficial for them, giving them sight lines down towards the south as well as both east and west. It's good stuff.
It's pretty good.
Big,
still alive. Still all four going.
Dar nord cred că trage
Put
zona.
some points on the board. Certainly
Conservarea o echipă.
do more than they have done
Da,
so
se
far.
duc cred că sus pe munte aici.
On their tournament on this
Mijloc
finals.
aproape.
Over 7 games.
De că nu-i nimeni mâncat și pe ale tale, dă-i acolo.
Massive departure from what we used to. Very central now for the Foramania boys on the shift.
Ăla, dă-i. Mai du-te. Bun. Pe tot
But with a game like this, you
know, la casele alea, du-te, că ai casele alea jos.
Boys absolutely frag out when it comes to Miramar. With that shift on the circle as well, bloody hell, it's going to be very difficult to get rid of them from that position, to almost displace them. Most teams around them end up fighting one another at this point.
Haide că este o are zonă acolo.
Crucial positions, no one's been taking too many fights, so Foramanian boys, although enclosed and closed in, they're more likely not going to have to take too many fights themselves, because there will be ones raging around them, force position within the circle.
Hopefully try and weather in the eye of the storm. Because at Decode UK, feel like they've got a pretty decent spot here on the top of these hills.
Ia zi, Alino, mă love.
Good sight lines.
Tu mă love pe mine sau nu mă love pe mine?
Actually, they've managed to find a little bit of a compound as well there.
Iau casele de jos. În spate nu o să le mai vină nimeni la ST.
Potentially an easier time than the teams on the southwest, but it's still not going to be easy.
Mă love, Alino, ia zi. Eu te love, tu mă love.
As well as Vodafone Giants and Game Lord guarding beyond that. It's very, very crowded on this western side.
It is, yeah. I mean, you can see there up towards the north side as well.
Am plictisit, Iuliu, sunt atent aici, mă interesează mult rău de tot.
And slowly making their way towards water treatment. Team Doom fully engaging right now with Big. Chazmac Gaming off in the wings, but
ăsta e supărat pe viață, mă, să se sinucidă. Ea și scrie, n-aud.
But I still think that Big is a far superior team at this point in time, and it would have boded very, very badly if Big had gone down to Team Doom.
Definitely want to be taking the fights that you can win, and it seems like getting two of them, that's going to be good news. One of them did get knocked in.
Pentru că dacă scrie aia, nici nu mai bagă seamă, mă jur.
They're all back to fighting health. Two players from Team Doom managed to get out. And remember, Big, they made that smart decision right at the start, getting that knock, just fading away from the fight completely, not engaging.
Mai bine nu mai bagă nimeni în seamă să moară Big. Mai ales eu.
And both Akashi and Spicy hit the deck.
Yeah, I think for Game Lord, that is very bad news for them. Luckily, they're in a position where it's very craggy. You know, this is the type of position where if you've not brought your walking boots, you're more likely to trip over your Yeezys. So Game Lord can at least stay safe in that situation for themselves, knowing that someone's not going to get right on the doorstep immediately. For Nexus, on the other hand, let's compare that to Big's position, like you said earlier, getting that quick knock onto Nexus and then moving out, finding more favorable spot.
controlează pe aici la case, în spate să nu le mai bine ci sus. De wall-ul. A, wall-ul e sus acolo. Iată că s-ar putea să dea zona acum pe ei.
Very, very difficult. This next circle shift is not a kind one either, with the majority being a
Ia
lot
mă
of just
tânăra, din
empty
spate, din
fields
față, din
right
față,
here.
din față.
Unicorns of Love do manage to dip in on that northwest side, which is good, but they're flying into TSC's position.
Unicorns of Love trying to crash.
Mamă, TSC-ul se duce în ei. Wall-ul, bă. Nu, trebuie să piardă acolo. Da, Ius, coai. Unul knock.
Taking so much damage, Lin gets cut down in his prime, and Rolkis now low HP, very, very much in danger here as LMV are looking their way as well. Busts out the door, Fresh standing as well. TSC with 3 in the building. Fresh with the pincer, with the flank, but is it going to have enough firepower? I'm just not sure. Nades in through the window as Buho is low. Rolkis even lower though. And the time is not on their side. Unicorns of Love have a clock and it's ticking away. Rolkis down.
I mean, this fight could have gone easier for them if it wasn't for a case of this.
Și prin din casă și tu și tu mâncați și cu ele tale. 3. E bun exus, da. Mai e ăsta, mă, trebuie să-l omoare pe ăsta, haide. Alino, zi. Eu te love, tu mă love.
I'm not here. I really am not here right now, guys.
He's so not here. He's the least here guy right now. I'm just not even here. I don't know what you're doing. Why are you even TSC? Looking for me, TSC right now? It's kind of cringe. You should stop looking for me.
Exactly. He doesn't exist.
Nu că mă pup, că și eu te pup pe tine, rău de tot. Dar eu te-am întrebat altceva, ți-am zis că te love, tu mă love.
When you could identify that a lot of the kills that you got from
Este
TSC
tu, haide mă
were
unde-i.
not ones that you opened up yourself. They're coming from the hilltops, they're coming from across the way. I think being outside of that building is maybe a little bit dangerous if you're TSC.
Chasmac Gaming and Extreme Slayers clashed on their rotational path. Chasmac Gaming
Care pe aia jos acasă, trebuie să meargă repede. Nu fac poză, dar vreau să știu și eu. Nu lăsați pe aia să se ducă în față, mă, mucabă și pe ele, bă. Deci fac ea spot acolo. Așa, mergeți deasupra lor în pula mea. Dar să mă vadă ea de la case, băi. Cam paumn acolo.
I mean, Big, yeah, well played, but I gotta admit, I was very interested in the great boss wall that was created almost immediately.
Cela de sus de acolo trebuie să ardă pe ăștia de la Iset. Haide, bă.
But Big are able to clear them out. Now they've got Eastern Stars towards the north of them, but this fight between Conquerors and 4 Romanian Boys, very important. 4 Romanian Boys can win this fight. They can start
4 reveu aici cu Conquerorul. Au liber în față la căpițe, mult au liber în față la căpițe. Aia că îi scoate pe aia Iset-ul.
As the push out comes through and lovely holds coming through from the Conqueror players right now, both dueling off against 2 apiece and actually doing very well, and against the 4 Romania Boys that is no small order. Finally, Doran
hai că el ai mai 1 HP, trebuie să-l bați. Haide mă, dai cu tu pe unul. Bravo.
Rage on in his. Clink not flushed yet. 4 Romania Boys, they just want these reses. They want to stay all alive. Jamaz pushes on in, looks for more. The damage not quite there. The drop shot as well denied as Jamaz back out into the open. And into the corner, X-Machina around the side, and finally Conqueror can't find a kill against 4 Romania Boys.
Bagă-te afară după el, tată. Bine, bă, aici a sărit după el. Bravo, bă, bine a gândit-o bețașul ăsta. Bravo, mâncați și talentul tău. Este tu cu băieții ăștia. Băi, da. Haide, mă, pe bune, și aveți una aproape, mă. Aveți voie, mă, să moară Vib. Să mor, mă.
But it's so difficult. Octavian forward position there. The
off-angle
second best in the lobby according to Blank. if you can
N-am
leverage
făcut nici
that a
măcar un
little bit
punct în
more
pula
there.
mea.
Big though, just 4 players on a ridge line. It's so hard to deal with when you're in those smokes. The circle pops yet again, and I have to move a little bit
Măcar
further.
nu se oprea să ducea la căpițe, își făceau compound și nu-i lua nici din față, nici din spate, nici din laterale cu mașinile alea.
Trying to isolate those smokes, isolate those angles. Octavian around the side, can't find the knock. There's answers coming through from the rest of the team, but they can't get anything done. It's Eastern Stars to go down, and the Unicorns of Love, they're going to be happy about that because there's no more PMGC points to worry about this game.
Hai că mor de ciudă, bă.
Flying down to support him. Mickey, MVP from Super Weekend, trying to hold it through. These smokes just about covering from the time being. But Alicio has a general idea.
E vorba de mici, prost.
Times goes down, and now just Mickey for big. Alicio.
E vorba că trebuia să plece, băi, până la căpițele alea acolo în față să mor eu.
They're looking to answer for that now. Their sins
E
being
big ass,
dealt
să
with,
știa.
they're paid for in kind. Alicio moves forwards, Tommy gun in hand. Mickey crests the ridge and actually gets the knock. A nice little pop up there. There is backup. Reznov has the suppressing position, but there's shots coming across the way as well. I think that's from 4 Romania boys to put them back. And Alicio abandoned out in the open. Exquisite Decode UK gonna lose this player.
Absolutely they are. Mickey might not be able to get swayed back up again, though you can see Reznov just on the distance, and now Mickey has to use all the smokes possible, but it looks like he's just got the one. Perks, also LMV taking out many players from Nexus. Next circle heads up towards that position, so LMV very happy about this one. Previously taking down TSC earlier in the match there. After, in my opinion, TSC really did open themselves up to assault from that team.
This gaming finally eliminated, not going to be able to hide out any longer. 5
Uite
teams
acolo unde
remain
s-au
now.
pus ale.
LMV dominant position for the moment. The question is,
4 level mai aveam mai în față, dacă plecau la început când s-a dus prima oară pe high ground, aveau liber și vedeau. Dau liber. E dus.
Because once it does, if it pushes out of the
Vreo 20 de puncte mult, nu?
have to move, and at that point everybody's looking their way.
Păi nici eu nu știu
Will
ce
they be
e.
able to control the ground well enough?
Was it me or was Daddy just
Parcă nu
shooting
se
through
bagă
rock?
când trebuie în zonă să mor eu.
Oh, well, you missed something incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway,
Uite, vezi cum stau băiețașii ăștia? Uite, așa putea să meargă ei cu mașinile. Nu-i vedea nimeni.
Still have a chance to get in here, but
Haide,
LMV
bagă-te în
currently
buggy.
holding a very,
A
very
pula, asta e
strong
pe
compound.
first.
I'm pretty sure we saw this exact
am văzut.
finish between, I believe it was Udu Gang as well as Team Secret, and it's just almost impossible to fight this compound. There is like a ridge side that walks up to it, so the only way that any other team would win this game other than LMV is if
Alex
they shift away from this compound, because it is
Alino, mai ești Alino?
It is likely that it's going to get shifted away from. The question is timing, right? How long can they hold these positions? How long can the team survive outside of this open ground?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is just rough. This is probably one of the roughest places to play within Miramar, to be quite honest with you. I don't really think I could think of anywhere the worst to play, in my opinion. Will does take down Daddy accidentally. LMV still shoots the vehicles out from along the way. Excuse me, just taking the time with it though. I respect that. There is actually a hill over towards Excuse Me's position, which they're currently behind. And that'll give them time to play this one out. Doran finally goes down. That's 4 Romanian boys down now, out in 5th. Not a bad result, and Reznov probably soon to follow.
Kareem's across, so she makes it to the hay shack, but angles spotted. LMV still not quite getting the bead onto Game Lord. Shots head their way. There's a crate actually right by Reznov there. Potential for a resupply. Excuse me. Look to move forwards just a little bit as well. As you say, a little bit of a ridge line to play around, but the difficulty is that Game Lord have vision on it.
Yeah, it's difficult, but the fact of the matter is, like, how do you cross? How do you cross this position to LMV? Like, there's no way you're walking through this field to new cover. You have to use smokes, you have to use vehicles. At this point in the game, like, vehicles are rare. There's just one there for Game Lord. Reznov's still alive, and excuse me, still sending shots their way. I think Game Lord's got the worst end of it at the moment.
Yeah, they take a knock as well, and that's going to slow them down. Reznov needs to try and get around to the next circle for Exquisite Decode UK. Excuse me, they take a knock, and that is going to be Exquisite Decode UK eliminated. The next circle moves from LMV, sure, but they're on the shortest side of the circle of any of these teams right now. They have the least distance to move, they have the most control of this current zone. and you have to wonder who's going to be able to make it through. And I feel like this is the end of the lobby.
It might be, but the thing is though, is that for LMV, obviously they've shot absolutely everyone, so everyone's looking their way. For them, it is so difficult to get down from this ridge side because there is not much cover beneath them, and you're going to be exposed on that hillside for quite a while. So the utility is going to be extremely important. I imagine they've already started dropping smokes.
A văzut, Lord.
Trying to make their path, trying to create it. You can see there's the forward crash. Talon now with an outpost.
Oh my God, Robs!
Excuse me, makes a mad dash. Not going to pay off. Excellent movements there from Game Lord as they try and suppress LMV on their push. The blue zone now enveloping them. Spicy needs to move around the side, but they're just going so low. LMV, 3 players alive, 3 players standing. Just hit on Robs all the way forwards at the tractor, but there's nades around the side. And Game Lord take the tumble. Robs still alive, but the feet get taken out. LMV control the ground, and they take down Miramar.
You got LMV.
It was almost could have lived there a little bit, but LMV, the clear distinction for them was that they had utility that other teams did not. They had to expend that utility to get into their position. For LMV, they've been chilling on that side of the map for so long at that point.
Dar nu mă interesează, citește și tu prin message-ul.
You know, if that compound is slightly further within the circle.
Citește prin message. Angelo, ai acolo prin message. Nu ne interesează live-ul din Germania, scrie.
They play that position well. It's a winning position, and they're able to clear a lot of the difficult teams around them.
I mean, great news for Game Lord.
No problem.
It's fantastic news coming through from them.
Important e să aud ce vorbesc băiețașii ăștia de echipele noastre. Parcă joacă cu frică este tu,
I feel like they really did fight for that position, right? Like they were not easily in that spot.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that what I said at the beginning of our angle is that they're literally just one good game away from taking away that first or second spot, and I'm pretty sure
Salut, Flash-ule, te pup.
They should be in first or second. I'm not sure.
Eu așa, adică se califică.
I definitely think that now is the time for Game Lord to continue putting up these points because they, in my opinion, have been the one team that I've had the least fault with. And if that's the case, then usually they're a good team. I don't have too many complaints about Game Lord most of the time. They're just a good team. Some weeks they might be less good than they were, but it's never a case of like, oh, what is Game Lord doing? I've never had that case.
Yeah. No, it's always seemed to be just fairly consistent, fairly easy going, even going.
Pubg, Gica.
They've reaped the rewards for it. I mean, they did
Gica, pardon.
Downswing towards the end of those super weekends, but they are picking it back up. And that first day, obviously not as illustrious as it has been so far today. But now it seems like maybe they're back on form. There's a reason that these guys have done so well in these super weekends, right?
Te pup, Engine, ce zici?
From here, they're one of the few teams to have that hangover of good performance from.
Exactly, and I think for them at the moment it is something you need to mention. A case of like almost lucky they had that downswing on the last super weekend, right? Almost lucky because it's a case of what if that one came right now?
Pmpl, băi.
So you have that time to be like, well, this is what we feel like when we play bad, but let's get back to normal form rather than getting to finals and being like, oh no, we're having a bad run. It's like the scariest thing that could happen to you.
Well, it wasn't great yesterday. I mean, they did well, but it wasn't, a phenomenal performance yesterday.
Oh,
but today, they started to turn things on. They're one of the top spot competitors, Game Lord, with an excellent game on Miramar.
Alino. Știu, mă, că nu m-am jucat serios de mult timp. Te pup, Adu.
Today we would like to
Ce
introduce
zici că faci?
Pmp's investigators. The investigators are the
Am o
first
întrebare
line of
pentru
response
tine, Alin,
to
om răspunzi?
shooters. After a player is reported for suspicious behavior, the investigator will then verify whether cheating has occurred. Up till now, investigators have been hard at work every day resolving player complaints, establishing themselves as a key component in maintaining a pleasant and fair gaming environment. Without further ado, let me introduce the Investigator. How to become an Investigator. Investigators consist of in-game players and official security experts. To become investigators, in-game players must fulfill certain requirements. Be passionate about PUBG Mobile and have a strong sense of justice. A clean in-game record free of penalties, no bans or warnings. Be firm and resolute when dealing with cheaters, and report any suspicious behavior. Must have a high tier. Skilled players are preferred. Experienced players that have achieved a higher rank are better suited to judge whether cheating has really occurred. Players that have met these requirements can apply by tapping the Request Investigator access button. We hope more players can enlist in the Investigator ranks and stand together in protecting the integrity of the game. How investigators review
No, să liniștit așa, zi Alino, răspuns da sau nu, cu depinde, nu fără depinde. Am dus te pup.
Will be sent to the official security team for a final review. You can check your submitted video review statistics under My Reviews. See details for the results of
Adevărat,
For our dear investigators that uphold the integrity of the game, we are constantly improving the investigator function. To thank all our investigators for their hard work and effort, Pmpl has added Investigator Challenge rewards. Investigators can complete challenges to claim their corresponding rewards. There are rewards challenges, weekly challenges, and monthly challenges. We've also prepared an exclusive investigator outfit, titles, and rank. We've introduced the requirements on how to become an investigator and the responsibilities it entails. We hope that many new investigators will join us in our fight to maintain a pleasant gaming environment. Fairness for all. We will never give up.
Seems to be a day of everyone having a shot at a chicken dinner. LMV this time take themselves one, of course, with the 15 points that go with it. Of course, the kills they got as well, moving them up the leaderboards, getting one step closer to potentially breaking through into European Regional Championship. My guys, this was, again, another interesting game. You know, I was watching the beginning, seeing Big do well, and I was like, oh, Max, maybe you have a delayed blessing with your predictions. Literally, within 10 seconds of saying that, Big dies.
I don't know.
Da, o să mă joc și PUBG New State.
I custom because you talked about me talking about them. I don't know how it works. It gets very intricate, but no, LMV gave himself a really strong game here. 27 points total. And we talked a lot, quite a few times, Kalaris, especially about how they drop in campo militar. And it's
Alino, mai este aici Alino sau iar aici? Pe câmp și voi.
Especially going very close to water treatment. They just took that high ground position on top of the mountain super early, and they just waited it out, got all the information they needed, and when they had to crash onto TSC, they had the information, they had the utility, they had the fragging power, took the fight, got the best position, and took the win. It was so easily done by LMV Gaming, and it was just so clean.
Yeah, the Crossroads location is one of the scariest central circles.
11 Pro Max am telefon.
Once you get a vantage point, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And LMV found that vantage point and was able to just fire down everything. Because even if the circle shifts away from the Crossroads, which is a pain in the bum anyway, or any roads around there, it's still shifting into open fields. And you're like, well, damn, okay, let's try and play this one out. That's why you see so much edge play, and that's why LMV from their perch on high is able to shoot at everything and kill everything.
Yeah, we see here Chazbag, just to move on to the other 8 teams, is they got first last game, 30 points. They pop up 3 here, so a little bit of a fall for them. Nexus as well, kind of sticking true to, I guess, more of the normality of what we expected out of them. But also Eastern Stars, Unicorns of Love, they both got 1 point. So that gap just going to stay exactly where it is, around 19, I believe we think it is. But like you said, Kalaris, with your lovely sounds, Talon, almost 1100 damage. Rob's in there as well, Perk's in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you've got this kind of location to just fire at everything that's going to be going down on the fields, or kind of like the great thing about the compound that they had was it has great lines of sight not only on the fields but also the surrounding hills around it too, where all of these teams are scrambling to find some semblance of stability. So for LMV, this was the perfect opportunity to get them.
Năsuc e a mea de mult. Năsuc răspunde, e adevărat sau nu?
Between the breach of Unicorns of Love onto TSC and how LMV actually breached that one. Unicorns of Love send it one by one. Lin is trying to run to the compound, gets knocked midway, and then you had LMV doing the exact same breach against the same amount of players, doing it all together. Really well executed, and of course, as you can see, getting himself into the advantage point. You mentioned Kalaris, and just picking up all the kills left, right, and center on Excuse Me, on Game Lord, on some of also Exquisite Decode UK. It was so easy for them to play it off, but Game Lord, they were a team that were not in a strong position, and them having actually a pretty big spread and then regrouping every time the circle went into the fields, which is not easy, but they made it work out. They made the most of what they could do in that game.
They get Miramar, Jason, do Game Lord. They truly get Miramar. They understand it well.
Well, I'm glad they actually were able to do well, because I feel like the domination, I guess maybe it's too strong of a word, but how well they did in the Super Weekends, I mean, overall, didn't really get replicated when it came to our first day of play. So it's nice to see them at least bounce back a little bit, but they still have a long ways to go. But so do LMV, and we'll actually take a look at their stats in the finals versus the stats in the Super Weekend. Just give an idea again, are they playing better than what they were before? Are they playing the same? Are they playing a little bit worse? And they're actually just doing slightly better. But the unfortunate part for them is slightly better than what they did in our Super Weekends will not be enough to get them into the European Regional Championship.
Because when you look at the average they had in those 45 games of Super Weekend, it evens out after you look how good of a second Super Weekend they had. This team can really be one of the best teams in the region if they play on an even basis towards that level we saw in the second Super Weekend. But first Super Weekend and the third Super Weekend, they were kind of invisible off the time and didn't see too much of the team, so their average maybe doesn't look great, but when you look at their potential highs, this team could be a top 5 without any doubt in my mind. It's just that we need to see them play like this, understand the map positions they're playing from, get into strong positions, and then try and frag out if possible. Sometimes they like to play a little bit too much onto the edge, which I struggle with sometimes, but games like this shows how good of a team this can be, and that they could make into the top 5. At least we'll have to see how it goes at the end of the finals, but there is true potential here.
Especially if they get the snowball rolling, right? Like, if you think about, as you say, in that second Super Weekend, it really did feel like they were very swing-based, and once they have all of a sudden got this kind of little bit of momentum behind them, they were really rolling with it, and they could have got even more during that Super Weekend had we not had that ridiculous bridge situation in Hidan, maybe in a little bit of a better spot. But beyond all of that, this is a great win for them to try and get that ball rolling, because it really wasn't rolling here in this final, and maybe this is just the nudge they need to move even further up the table.
Yeah, and maybe for Perks and Talon as well, they were, I mean, basically neck and neck in kills, neck and neck in damage, and yet again, pretty much neck and neck when it comes to our finals. Definitely the standout players for the team. And like you guys are saying, like when they were having their highs, they looked fantastic. They looked like an extremely dominating team. But the problem is to be able to channel that kind of play into just now 2 days of play where you have 12 matches in total, the best teams in the lobby, with the pressure of trying to qualify on your shoulders is very difficult. And we, like you were mentioning with the bridge circle, that pressure can get to this team. We were already
again. Are we in upside down world, Jason? Because quite honestly, Chazmac before the previous game was 13th place, right? And then LMV before this game was in about something like 15th place. What is this final? Because it really does feel like anybody in this lobby with the kind of skill across lobby as a whole can go out, can have a win, and can push themselves up the leaderboard here. And there are differences in prize pool across a lot of these placements. So all of these teams very much out to play right now, Max, it feels.
We touched upon this in the pre-show for day one, right? We said even the teams on the second page, they showed us, maybe not consistently, but they showed us on a short period of time they can shine through and get some of the best results you can see in the entire tournament. So I'm not surprised to see some of these teams do well, but I'm surprised we're seeing this many teams that were struggling at the start shining through in these finals, and I think that's the very big outlier here. And when you're looking at Eastern Stars, Unicorns of Love, not being as consistent, and Big especially not being as consistent as you would like to see, you're answering now, and especially when it happens 2 day back to back, you're asking yourself, what's changed for these teams during those 4 day break? And I just can't tell you, but it's good to see the teams like LMV and Chazmac actually performing well today.
See, but I don't like it. I mean, maybe I'm just like super harsh, but I don't like the fact that like we go into the finals and none of what we learned in 3 weeks of play is holding true, you know? And that worries me for this region in general. When you get into the European Regional Championship, Turkey, insanely strong. CIS, ridiculously strong. And if we can't have any teams playing consistent when it comes to just this PMPL, like how are they going to fare against these international teams? It scares me.
I truly sympathize with that notion because, again, looking at kind of how it came in coming in, and we saw the top 6, and then they kind of narrowed that down to like, well, it didn't narrow it down at all. It got wider to like a top 10, top 11 that could easily like challenge for those top spots. Now it feels like everybody's kind of there. It does feel like maybe it makes you question where the skill ceiling is of the lobby compared to like where just kind of it's too spread out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know, obviously, if any of these teams that we didn't expect to get through do, and they perform well, credit to them, and they'll definitely be my radar going into PMGC and obviously future tournaments. You guys at home should have something on your radar. We still have the Gacha game going on where you can watch together in the esports center with your friends, get these tokens that you can use to unlock special permanent items. So make sure you guys try to get that one in. Invite all your friends, and I'm inviting my friends back to the lobby. At least I can, I think, call them friends. John, Allen, and Blank. Is that okay?
Blank? Okay with you?
Yeah.
Uitam aici, mă ascultam ce zic ăștia, mă, ce aveți, ăla cu nașpa. Dacă să zic că n-am uitat aici la Pmpl, ăla cu nașpa, mă, ce aveți?
Oh, he had to go. Oh, that's fine.
You're so mean, John.
Nu fură nimeni până sus, mă, ținem la cap. Replicile alea ce dracu să fură, o oaie, o capră. Nu, mă uitam aici să văd ce zic ăștia, mă. Nu se vede că distanța mare, gen, dar eu am ochii deschiși.
And I did just call Jason Mold, that's right.
Yeah, I know you
Alino.
did that. That's probably the worst thing. But I don't know. You said a lot of bad things just then.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm not sure which one to pick
Alino,
out.
zi-mi, răspuns la ceva sau nu?
Because
That's the trick. It's a scattergun of insults, and at some point you're just like, I don't. How do
Ce, nu se vede că
It's just the volume is too vast, and there's no point dealing with it. That's an excellent tactic if you want to not. It's an excellent tactic if you don't want any friends.
I don't know if you heard what I said, but
No, I wasn't listening to you.
Anyway, that's cool. That's great to know. Moving into the game, on the other hand, we're going to listen in for a couple of these players and see exactly what kind of rotations they're thinking about making. Obviously, we can't actually hear their thoughts, although it would be great. But hopefully in the future, we might be able to hear their comms, which would be...
So what are the voices in my head? What are
you know what those are?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Oh.
I need sorting.
Oh, okay.
Alino, vreau să întreb acum.
Well, I mean, you know, a few problems in game 2 for a couple of these teams.
Sorry, how many segues am I gonna have to make? Look, I'm bringing it back to the game because Unicorns of Love, didn't they lose a player to this exact split last time?
Yes, it was fresh. What is going on with that? Do they like just make a cheat? Is it like a little bit of fun for them? They're like, ooh, a super young roster. You can catch. Yesterday it was Fresh's turn, but today it's GK first turn. He's got away with it as well. Damn, that dastardly kid.
Ooh, he's a rascal. Ooh, look at him. So confident in his compound. Whippersnapper.
Nu m-am certat cu Biz, de ce, Cristi?
Whippersnapper. Chazmac, bit of Shadow One action over here. And it seems like all these teams have the one player they send forward as a scout, a ninja.
It's almost like teams like to scout. It's good. Good quality game.
Right at the
right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning of the game. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I'm feeling a bit aggy today. I don't know what's up.
Eu anduțule că se rele.
Attacking everyone. What is happening? Is it finals? Does it
It's finals. Yeah. I think it must be. It's the adrenaline.
Alino,
I've had my coffee.
răspunde că mă supăr rău de tot.
My way. Well, not for too much longer if I keep acting like this. I'll behave.
Yeah, I know. It's like you'll just hear like a big bleeping sound, and then John will be cut from the broadcast. It'll be me for the rest of this. So.
Păi ce nume și-a pus Cristi?
It's coming. It's coming.
What's your best me impression?
Your impression.
An impression of me. Do you have one?
Okay. Can we do it? I've got an impression of you. Yeah.
Okay. Go on. Let's hear it.
All right.
Zici ce nume și-a pus și după aia îți retragi mesajul.
Right now, there are a few things that I would like to place actually here. Would be the mathematical calculations that I have made in my own time through spreadsheets and a lot of good gusto. It has been quite interesting. The types of curves that have been coming through.
Așa și-a pus?
That's you. How was that? Did you like that?
Acum retrage mesajul că am văzut.
William.
Da, nu știu, l-a luat drogurile și pe ăla.
William Shatner. You're basically, yeah, essentially.
L-a luat drogurile și pe ăla, cred că nu știu ce e.
Just probably like a little sprinkling of annoying in there.
Da, nu știu ce cu băiatul ăla, dă să
I feel like there's also strong What's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his name. The guy who plays.
A tras pe pădie, a
the guy
tras
who had the
ceva.
watch in Forrest Gump. What's his name?
God.
The dad in Hairspray in the film.
Wow, this is amazing. I never know you had this quality where you can like name people very vaguely, but from a large set of different films. This is amazing.
Oh man, and he's Christopher
A
Walken.
lăsați-vă cavași de ele, că vă ia cu
Got
nașpa.
there in the end.
I feel that's not Christopher Walken, although Christopher Walken.
Da, n-am mai vorbit cu echipa, că n-am mai făcut.
We have really strayed from the game, John. Okay,
Absolutely.
we need to get back to.
We've got a little bit of a walk and.
Yeah, we've been a walking, and now we need to get a strutting back on the game, or at least get in the back of the buggy here in game with the boys. Nexus, or wearing their PMPL outfits. You can get your own PMPL outfit. Get yourself on the app. Slap some, just do some gathering, you know. See if you can grab yourself a prize, because PMPL outfits, they are gorgeous. Potentially get some permanent items too. Everybody looks permanent items. I love permanent items. You know, Jason introduces a special and permanent friends earlier today. I'd say that you are permanent. I would say I'm special.
Certainly one of those is true.
Yeah,
At least.
at least.
Let's go with that. Eastern Stars, they've got a pretty solid position right now to control rotations, but I feel like the circle has diminished the value of this hill, because normally, I mean, we talk about this hill as being really strong, having a lot of oversight over the trifecta, over the confluence there of the rivers, but it doesn't have quite as much value in this current scenario.
No, not as much anymore. I think that it's quite interesting to see whether all the teams are placed, because we're going to do a quick stock check. Go in the back. We're going to stock check these teams. Stock check. We have I felt like a Dave reference right there. We have LMV up towards the northeast side. Vodafone Giants, they're down towards Lekawi. They're looking in at the moment. You know, most of these teams just playing it safe. I like LMV. They have that niche play style of just, you know, chilling it out and then coming in later, finding a strong position, getting in. But Unicorns of Love, I'm sorry guys, you can't be playing in the blue. There is no blue to play in, unless GK First is going to stay right on the western side of Nakam, where there's about 200 meters of area to play. It'll be in the blue.
If there's blue, they will be there. That is one known in the Sandhawk games, certainly over the last couple of days anyway, for Unicorns of Love. Super Young roster, they've yet to move from Ruins, and potential for them to guard out Big, but I feel like Big have a plan. I mean, certainly Mihi is either swimming right now or is controlling the headland for a different sort of rotation on Big's side. But around the cave, teams are starting to group.
Yeah, I think you know what? I like Super Young roster. Don't get me wrong, I like Super Young roster.
Okay.
They have done this same hold on the Northwest Bridge coming down to Ruins every single game. And pretty much every single game as well, Big's done the same thing, which is just swim off to the west side of the map. And the way they've got this set up is they've got two players either side of the bridge, one player at the backside, and then one guy watching the docks. And realistically, like, this isn't going to help you versus Big, who are doing this every single time. Just like, go watch the coast. Just have one guy watch the bridge, because more often than not, Big just rattle it through if they do go bridge, in which case Super Young roster are left in the back.
Are they going to have that info, though? Have they been scouting effectively? We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, Team Doom around this cave, around the area. Extreme Slayer split across the river as well, just out to their west near Camp Charlie. Excuse me, out to the east of this position as well. And as I said, teams are starting to group around this area. To the south of Quarry, which is going to be detrimental should it move up a little bit further north towards Boot Camp or around that area. You imagine that traffic jam's going to be quite tricky.
Yeah, I would say so. I think that, you know, it does get a bit difficult in this scenario. God, how many times O's are going to come up here? Extreme Slayers, they're on the south side, right? You know, you have Vodafone Giants as well as Excuse Me, all trying to push through. But I think it's going to be a case of, like, who's going to make the rotation that goes over the top side of Quarry and then loops back down towards Painan. Now, I think that would be a smart rotation to make rather than getting caught here by the river, which is very awkward to play around. You can see Swizzy Decode UK currently there, as are TSC. TSC are probably going to be locked into this spot for a long time. Because they're very much at the back of the queue. I mean, they could move north, which would be okay, in my opinion, but it depends where the next circle goes, really.
teams on the western edge still need to move big. They made one swim, but they still have to make the others. One has to wonder if there's a boat that they've got their eyes on to go for a long rotation, even over towards docks or Kampong or something similar for big. But maybe they're just going to swim. Maybe they've got enough meds. They feel confident. It's only going to be phase 2 circle damage, and they're just going to swim across. It looks like that's what they're going for. By the way, circle shrinks, and it's very, very central there. TSC again, slap bang in the middle.
Yeah, and I mean, they're holding that same hold. You can see on your map there, where it's literally directed the bridge, and big, once again, they're like, we're going to circumvent all of that, get ahead of you, and then leave. So it's a little bit confusing to me. And remember, I like Super Young roster. Don't get me wrong, guys. I like Super
If you keep saying it, it will be true eventually. Big, they're making that swim.
True.
Absolutely. I believe you. I believe you.
Thank you.
Unicorns of Love need to move in as well, just shift their way through. The advantage that I think Extreme Slayers have is that they have that sort of outpost, that ability to go back across the river should they need to swing up past Painan. I feel like that is a credit to them that maybe can't be undervalued, but at the moment it looks like they just want to push straight on forwards and give up that ground.
Where is Conquerors going right now, John? They're almost off my screen. Yeah. So let's just paint a picture for you guys at home. I have looked over to my left monitor, up towards Northwest Island, just to check if anyone else is still out there. I see Conquerors quite physically leaving the map in a vehicle up towards Mong Nai.
Christina, tu cu cine ești acum în echipă? Sau nu mai ești cu niciunul? E singur tu?
To head in towards dockside, or even just dock at Lakawi itself, that would make sense. But yeah, they're completely off my screen now. That was incredible.
I had the same exact reaction, except it's on my right monitor, not my left monitor.
Oh, right, okay.
So, that's the only difference.
Fair enough.
TSC, they've got a pretty decent split. With their backs to quarry, I feel like TSC have a really good chance at controlling this area. The difficulty is that the high ground for Extreme Slayers is actually very good. They have so many sites. You can see all the way over to Team Doom on their south. It's a really good hill that they found themselves.
I think for TSC, it's hard though. It's really, really hard because, I know you said they have quarry to their backside, but to be honest, there's no clear-cut winning position around quarry.
Te pup, băi, ce faci, băi, urâtule?
When we see quarry, what we talk about is like it's towards the beginning of the game. If you get caught in a crossfire at the beginning of the game, you drop into quarry, more than likely you're doomed. And that's where it's good to play on the outside. But more often not, after that point,
Când zici ceva mai sus, dar n-am înțeles bine, Blade-ule.
coming into the circle, it's rough. I don't think there's one singular position that I would be happy with. There's a couple of towers you can play around there, but there's nowhere it's like that is the definitive position to play in quarry.
Big have been spotted by Super Young roster, so they're now locked a little bit in a scrap, and the circle's really going to start to hurt soon. I mean, it's the non-zero amount of damage, and Alush doesn't have any first aid kits. You can see
Cum o și ăla ăștia
particularly
plictisiți.
healthy there for Big. They want to just get ahead, want to get out of this, get towards Painan, but it's easier said than done. On the northern side of the quarry fights, you've got 4 Romanian boys and Nexus.
Da, mă, da.
Back went over onto Doom.
Dar zici o rămânță, bă-te și
Up the
tu.
hill should be resable. 4 Romanian boys going to hold their compound.
Ce,
It'll
mă?
be fine. I actually liked what I saw
Oh,
there from
Mom.
Big, because you could see Swave moving out down towards the south side. They've sent Mickey forward, and I appreciate this because he's the one running 7 first aids. So I think his mission at the moment, should he choose to accept it,
La
would
mulți
be
ani,
to get a
Sicario, te
single
pup, să fii
knock and
sănătos și
then get
iubit.
the rest of the team out, which is how I feel they're trying to play this one. Because if they have that many meds on Mickey, then he can stay behind.
Aoleu,
long enough to
controlează
get that
multe
knock,
zone
which they
acolo.
just achieved now, and then take that moment to leave. But yeah, the circle moving off to the eastern side. Woof. I mean, Vodafone Giants can be very happy with that one. I woofed instead. It's turned into a dog. It was that surprising.
I mean, it is a bit of a munter of a circle there, to be fair.
It is a bit of a muggy circle right now.
It's not fun. It's not fun. For all the teams on the west of quarry, they're going to have to figure out how to either get around it or play in quarry. I feel like Chazmat Gaming right now have a really strong spot, have a really good chance to move a little bit further south, take a compound there and hold out, or maybe they just want to try and play edge, allow people to pull themselves into the vacuum ahead of them and then try and play from the back. They swept before very effectively on a circle in Erangel, so maybe that's what they're going to try and repeat.
Yeah. Conquerors finally make it in. They're in Lakawi, as we said. Oh, hey, look at that rotation. That was one hell of a rotation. You love to see it. I think for LMV, though, also another really good rotation from the north side. Getting down here into Kampong, not easy, considering there's a few teams around this area, including Chazmax. So very, very well done to them. And look at this. Exactly as I said, get the one knock, find the vehicles, peace out. Really, really well done and well orchestrated coming through from Big. I imagine they've given each other a couple of beds as well to get healed up. Eastern Stars going against Team Doom. Bazzy has to hit the floor.
Trying to mount
the grass.
Mount the cave mound and need to be careful of dropping on in. Eastern Stars, they're being rebuffed from angles across the way. Look, this split from Doom is actually pretty effective at holding out this position. Look at the shots from Unreal. Bazzy just trying to stay alive. More damage sent into Athis as well. The res has come through, but the damage continues to pour in. A double nade and a kill there comes on in. A beautiful nade over the top. I think that was Action lobbing that one down and spelling doom for Eastern Stars right now. Action doing so much work for the squad. All four of them alive, and no one really here to third party.
No, this is just clean-up time, really. So, really, really nice stuff. Again, this is a very, very tense finals. Again, we said at the beginning of this game, you know, it's very difficult to figure out who to watch, where to place our sights. There'll be one kill coming through from Octavian. Finish off that player as well.
Standing tall. Eastern Stars not going down without a fight.
Down
in the dirt, naturally going to get wiped as well. That's a squad wipe going on through. Eastern Stars are going to get eliminated there. The point difference between Eastern Stars and Unicorns of Love on the PMGC tallies at the start of the finals was 27 points blank. So Eastern Stars need 27 more points than Unicorns of Love, and they've gone down before them again. I think the difference before this game was fairly minimal. I think it was sort of around in at least, I think it was below 10, if not 10. So it was around that sort of area.
I can actually tell you right now.
Oh, okay, fantastic. But they basically aren't getting enough points right now to take over Unicorns of Love. And my God, what a dirty circle. That is right on top of Quarry. Right.
Let me have a quick look.
Bang in the probably worst area, I would say.
Oh yeah, that is not good. That is not enjoyable. I don't want to drink my coffee anymore. It's left a sour taste. That's bad. But I think for Unicorns of Love, Eastern Stars were 8 points ahead at the start of this game. Like I said, 27 points more required. And I think that for Unicorns of Love, just live a little bit longer, though they are playing the blue game right now.
Hello, Mario.
They do like to sack off Sandhawks. I don't know what it's all about.
Win some, lose some. If they choose when to lose, they can choose when to win, right?
Well, you know what that is? That is a terrible way of explaining about what I was about to explain properly, which was that, you know, if you just sack off and then focus all your efforts on Arangel as well as Miramar, then maybe you get a couple of breaks for yourself. You don't feel as pressured to perform here. But yeah, also your attempt at explaining it was also very good. I enjoyed it.
It's like having a dump stat on a D&D character, right?
Yeah, exactly. Either way, this is a very difficult circle to play. Vodafone Giants, though, this would be a good chance for them to get themselves in a better position when it comes to points, because they were holding on to a very firm spot towards the top side. They have dropped down a little bit now. Conquerors, this is the team that made the huge rotation. They backstabbed Chazmac Gaming, and to be fair, Chazmac Gaming, if I was there, I'd be like, where the hell did these guys come from too?
Who on earth are these guys pretending to our western coast? Trazen goes down as well. MZ now under pressure. Chazmac Gaming get it picked off one by one. It's a horror film in the forest. As they swing around, knives are flailing. Conqueror swarm across, and there's really nothing you can do here in this scenario. They've already been divided, and now it's time to conquer. Vito does go down. MZ tries to put up a fight here. Smokes, the Molotovs, the nades starting to pump on through. Nicely placed as Clink goes. And takes a tumble there. Two players still going for Chazmac Gaming. Jamaz with his head above the rock at risk. Reses trying to be made here. And in goes Shadow End for the res onto Trazen. Bringing Chazmac Gaming back up to fighting force. This is Act 2 of the horror film Blank, when the heroes potentially have a chance of defeating the killers from the deep.
It is, yeah. I mean, we're fully into Act 2 at this point in time. We've changed position, we've changed scene, we had the smash cut from the trees to the grass. But MZ really putting up huge performances right now. This is amazing from him. Gets one, and possibly with a
lines him up. Reeves now trying to get the shot to the Vector in hand. MZ has cover behind the tree. The rest of Chazmat Gaming coming up fast as well on the outside track. 15 bullets in the UMP. Needs to find a flush, needs to find a knock. Gets the point, but goes down. And Conqueror fall as the circle shifts north.
MZ, what an MVP that guy was there for that fight. Incredible nades, incredible ability to play the terrain. MZ is the biggest blessing right now for Chazmat Gaming. When he comes on side, these guys step up in a huge way. It is beautiful to see, and that's what you want from IGL overall. Superior roster, you made the mistake there. He can't be resin at this point in the game. It just doesn't work out. You'll immediately get re-knocked. Unicorns are love. They're coming over towards LMV's position. Gonna try to clear them out. They struggled from the last game, but it's an instant knock there from Fresh.
Raucus not backing up.
No, Vlad nu e calificat în momentul ăsta.
Fresh taken down as well. GK first eliminated and Raucus just left alone. I imagine they dropped meds over and they're going to try and out-heal the blue zone here for Unicorns of Love. Not entirely sure about that crash. It obviously did not work out in this scenario. And LMV are going to keep on going, although they are slowed down. The circle's doing a lot of damage now.
Yeah, this is cruel from Rolkis, in my opinion, almost in a way, to Eastern Stars, because they know that.
Bine să termină Pmpl.
To be fair, if anything, it's actually incredibly smart. It's an incredibly smart play, if anything, because it's a case of we don't need to win Sandhawk. We just need to keep putting up consistent numbers. What's the best way to put up 6 or 7 points on Sandhawk? Try and get towards the late game, pick up as many first aid kits as possible, and then heal to 6th or 5th place. This could be the biggest brain strat ever if they are purely going for those PMGC points to qualify from the totals.
I mean, it's potentially there, right? That's potentially what you're going to see, but you kind of have to, it is quite interesting because Unicorns of Love essentially need to get 1 point less per game than Eastern Stars every single time, and they'll be fine. They'll be in, right? It's 27 points, there's 18 games. They can get more than 1 point less than the Eastern Stars each time. But if you keep it at that level, it's a little bit safer. So the games where you get more, these are all bonuses. These are phenomenal results for Unicorns of Love for those PMGC spots. But they do lose out on money, and you can't ignore that here in these finals.
I mean, getting the PMGC, you're going to earn so much more, but also this is even more big brain. Is this a quarry finish? No one's going to survive for that long when you're playing Quarry. This is just going to be teams going down one after another. You can already see there's only 15 players besides Rolkis over on this side, with Ex Machina also healing, Fakers healing from Superior Roster, so Shadowwen. There is a big opportunity for those 3 players to go down straight away, and Rolkis stand up tall.
Who have tried to just nail those shotgun shots. Rolkis is moving right now, so I wonder if he's out of meds. Vodafone Giants are just sweeping across right now, but Nexus Gaming still up the top. And this is actually a really important fight blank. Let's look at the 3 teams still in this circle. Nexus Gaming, Game Lord, and Vodafone Giants. These are all teams right at the top. A team to win this one is most likely going to take that top spot.
Take the first place, 100%. I said it from the start, Vodafone Giants, they're going to win the entire finals. Game Lord, they're going to put them up for a good run, to be honest with you. But I believe in the Vodafone Giants. I think it's high time that the Vodafone Giants and the players on that team, they got themselves a finals win. They've been deserving it for a long time. They've consistently improved. And right now, they're looking
break towards the tree, trying to get that outpost, get those angles locked out for Nexus Gaming right now. They don't really have too much utility in play right now, and they're getting burnt out as well. Game Lord looking to try and survive. That's their goal right now, to stay alive with bullets flying over their heads. They just need to weather the storm. Nexus Gaming have the toughest time of it as Vodafone Giants move forwards. 2 players down now for Nexus Gaming, but Nano's there. Kashi strikes, Pokers falls, and now Vodafone Giants are scurrying, moving around like rats in a trap, but they still find the knocks. Ulysses with the M249 over towards Rana. Last player standing for Nexus Gaming. Game Lord trying to stay alive with 1 player as well, but the off angle is there. Akashi looks to get the pepper in, but can't quite get the spice. Rana falls to the M249 instead. Vodafone Giants look good to close it out.
It's the Akashi assassin once again from the sidelines, moving in with the UMP.
Ăsta aici
Focus is
a luat
low.
locul 3.
How goes Sebi? It's down to 3. Poker's extremely low though. He does get back up on his feet.
Turns it around, 1 versus 2 now behind the rock. Akashi gets one more, turns it around from below, from the quarry, covered in mud and rocks, looks to take on the Giants.
Sunt montajele repede, cum vezi, că ai șans. Nu cred că le dă 1v4.
Nano wants the res, makes the final push, the half HP and can't quite get it done. The slingshot not good enough, and the Vodafone Giants take it back into their control.
Oh my lord. The Akashi
A
assassin.
luat cu aia, mamă, 3 a luat ăla să mor. Avea la un first, era zeu să mor și îl băga rapid și lua și pe ăla să mor. A Vodafone Giants.
I know, right? He's played 2 teams. This guy is mad. Honestly, probably he's a new player that I've seen as well, and he's probably one of my favorite new players that I've ever watched. And that is one thing I will not say for a while, because it is so many times where Akashi bails game on.
Ce urechi are ăla ultimul din stânga să moară Bibi.
2 weeks ago when we saw Akashi win by himself on Miramar. These things are happening multiple times, and it's like happening so many times now where it's a case of like, yeah, this is not luck. This is like something that he's actively doing. I love his playstyle so much. I can't even talk about Vodafone Giants when, even though I'm like hyping them up so much, all I can think about is the Akashi assassin.
Absolutely. I mean, and remember, that fight was really, really important in terms of deciding towards the top of the tables. Those were 3 teams directly in contention with one another. And I imagine that with that point bump, Vodafone Giants are going to have enough to overtake. But Gamelord, I mean, they got plenty of kills. Nexus Gaming, they were still in there as well. Those points are really going to be crucial there. But I mean, 4Romania Boys weren't there, Exquisite Decode UK weren't there in towards those final circles, which means that gap can start to open towards the top yet again. Although it did close towards the start of today, it's looking exciting. It's looking very exciting, Blank.
Very, very exciting. I think for Gamelord though, that was very important that your boy Akashi was able to
Adevărat că la din stânga i-a de la Vodafone să mor eu urât.
Extra points from Vodafone Giants at the end there. I think he almost killed Vodafone Giants twice before he finally went down. But yeah, I think that's great, and it might have just enabled Gamelord to hold on to that first spot, but we'll have to wait and see, John, until the desk is able to bring us that information, which I'm very excited for personally.
Oh, absolutely. No, it should be very
Al doilea din partea stângă zici că e ungur.
It was also the situation that it
very me.
No.
Ăla din mijloc zici că era Sandokan.
Next question. But it was very much the case that Akashi could have won that. Right, that was a scenario where it came down to a 1 versus 1, and you know how volatile those results can be, right? I mean,
Ăla al doilea blond zici că e ungur de la Bulangiu.
That range that really decide it, and if you can
Adevărat să mor.
if you can have a sneaky little bobble around the side, maybe even a nade, you know, you can just pop it in. If you find a box that has a nade in it, all of a sudden,
nothing.
Bang. But in the end, did phenomenally well for the squad and kept them very much in the running.
I think that even just a testament that this is not luck and I'm not just talking this guy up, is that, you know, the end of that fight, he gets that third knock onto Sebi, and then there's 2 players, one getting res behind the rock. A good player makes the play he makes. A bad player might have just sat behind that rock forever and got pushed by the blue, but he's thinking about the win. That wasn't a player thinking about, you know, maybe I can hold it for a second. He's thinking about first there. He runs immediately up to the rock to try and sideswipe them, and that was an instant decision from Akashi. Like, goodness me, it is just a beautiful play and amazing movements boiled into about a 30-second clip.
I mean,
it was great.
I would be really interested to see his POV for as you say, the last 30 seconds of that fight, right? What decisions was he making? What information did he have? Because it was well played. He took 2 players down from the Vodafone Giants almost immediately, and then started a fight when Nexus Gaming came out, and it was a lot of chaos that nearly got capitalized on. Unfortunately, fell just a little bit short. What a sprint it was, but didn't quite make the 100-meter mark. Instead, the Vodafone Giants were able to take the chicken dinner for Sandhog.
Da, dar nu mai stau 3 meciuri. Haide bă, vă pup și eu și vă las să ne auzim că aveți talentul bun. Da? Să fiți cuminți. Hai, somn ușor și noapte bună. În februarie, cam așa, Sebi. Februarie, marți. Somn ușor, bă, vă las și eu, seara